Just give me a second. I'm gonna put the fan over here. I need to make sure that y'all don't overheat over here. Oh, my greatness. All this stuff that you gotta think about. You gotta one of these days in the future, in a few years, we need a production team or something. A lot that goes into just coming on live. Crazy. Let's see. Where is So the squeaking will go away in a second. I'm just gonna have to put the fan up every once in a while, or at least for now. All right. I apologize, but I don't want you guys to overheat it. Once I get it cooler, we'll get started. I promise I won't leave it on the whole time. I won't let you guys have to keep hearing this the whole session. I will not do that to you all. I promise I will not do that to you all. I just need the phone to cool down for a little bit, y'all. I promise you I'm going to take this off so you won't have to worry about it. I promise you the squeaking is about to be turned off. I just need the fan on long enough to cool down the device. Y'all can hear we ghetto rigged over here. Okay, all right. Looks like we got enough to get started. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osai, Enekatiwea, Ohio. I see you. Manut, Wagwan, Aloha, Ciao, Kamsa, Kamsamida, Akwaba, Madasi, Itise. Jambo, Mimini Kofi, Nidafraku, Katana Nowewe, Boker Tov, Boker Tab, Grand Rising, Bakwatav, Barakala Chemihava, Atanai Kovai, Headed at Servant to Christ, Mashalam Chi. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We appreciate your presence. Thank you so much for joining us again. We give our honor and praise to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, Yahweh who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we thank everybody who supports her in her endeavor to support the diaspora. Amen. We are going to get ready to get right back into our series, the series that we've been doing for quite some time. We will continue for quite some time. We've been going through VBS. We've already started reaching out to some of you about shirt sizes, soaps, all that stuff. So just if you're on the list, if you've reached out to us, if you've given a donation, etc. Some of you given a donation, I signed up the form. Some of you signed up the form with no donation. Some of you have asked about it. Some of you texted. So we're trying to get information. That's why we said if you can fill out the form, it helps us to kind of, know where everybody's coming from. That being said, any way you reached out to us about it, we will do our best to get back to you. Then we're going through the list of things. I'm going to be working with Sister Renee, Sister Monica, and another person I haven't asked yet. But they said they'd be open to helping us. So we'll try to get you guys together and be prepared and start being ready for some of those things and some of those items very soon. Amen. But we're going to go to our tried and true for this series that we've been in so far. We're going to go to Barashat Chet at Kaf, or Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. We'll start there. We'll read there. Also, too, we're going to then go to Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 17. And then, even though you might not need to stay into your feet for this one, we will then also go to Jasher chapter 5. All right, so we're going to go once again to Genesis chapter 8, Genesis chapter 9, and then we'll go to the book of Jasher chapter 5. And while you're turning there, what you have to say, amen. So I got to say with you while you're turning there. Let's say hello to real quick. How you guys doing? Shalom, peace. How you doing, Sister Renee? How you doing, Minister Shante, Michael, Sister Knight, Tamika, everybody on the podcast, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We appreciate your presence. How you doing? How you doing, Brother Joseph, Sister Melissa, Sister Nadine? Waiting on the second form. Okay, I'll try to see if I send me the different forms. I apologize, Sister Mignon. I didn't know that you only got one. Which one did you get? Well, you know what? I'll just send both. That way. You might have to send me a reminder after the live session, but I'll send both. Or maybe if somebody can remind me after the live session to send Sister Mignon 2 forms. How you doing, Mad Bear? Let's see. Sister Angela No Bass. You said the squeaking is fine. Yeah, now the squeaking is gone, but I got it on high power, so who knows if I turn it down. Is the fan problematic on any of the platforms? Because I know persons were saying it was super loud last time. Is the fan problematic? Let me turn it. Do I need to turn it down? I'll try to turn it down if you guys need. Is it problematic? Because I do have it kind of close, but it was because the device was already overheating. I don't know what's going on with this. You said it's fine, Bruda? Okay. Oh, no problem, Sister Nadine. I need to try. I'll be trying. We're missing each other anyways. I keep saying I'm going to reach out to you. How you doing, Chosen Beauty? How you doing? Brother Keith, how you doing? Sister Nadine. Everybody can hear all right? Okay, I see some of your comments from earlier. Sorry, I missed them. You saying clearly and you can hear. Cool. How you doing, Brother Charles? Double OG, Triple OG. Everybody on, how you doing? Come on in. How you doing, Mahi? If you're still on with us, Monster. If you're still on with us, we appreciate you. Once again, thanks for joining on YouTube, Facebook, podcast, and TikTok. We appreciate you. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 8. We start at verse 20. Barashat Chet at Kaf. And then we're going to go to Genesis chapter 9. Barashat Tet. And then we're going to go to the book of Jasher, chapter 5. Yashar. Yashar Chay, or Yashar Chay. Trying already, praise Yah. Already. So here we go. And give me a second. We're going to do our Bible pledge. If you're able to stand to your feet, or if you're able to reverence the word of Yehovah in whatever way you are able to, we thank you for doing so. It is our custom. It is our custom because it is what Yah has called us to. Come on. It is what the word says. This is, by the way, a lot of persons don't know this. Technically, if we were back in the times like when the Sermon on the Mount, well, more than likely, and we can't say because we were not there, but traditionally, when Yehashrai would go into the temple, or if Yehashrai would be on the Sermon on the Mount, he would have been the one seated, probably seated high enough where everybody could see him, but he would have found a place to sit and everybody would stand because you always stood for the reading of Yehovah's word. And sometimes in temple, they wouldn't even necessarily have persons explaining the word. They would just have somebody read it to them. Now, this is a little bit of perversion because ultimately Yehovah wants us to explain the word and make sure everybody knows it. So we're not trying to do the thing where the only thing you know about the word is what we tell you, or the thing that happened in Roman Catholicism, which basically is what the fight about Lutheranism and other things happen, where, you need to make sure persons comprehend the word in their language. But, ultimately, we used to stand a lot. I'm not saying you need to do so now. I'm just saying we used to stand a lot when it came to the reading of Yehovah's word. Hola, mi hermana Sandra, ¿cómo está? So we're excited to be in front of you guys again. Let's go ahead and get ready to do our Bible pledge. How you doing, Alicia, excuse me. How you doing, Ben? I'm from Judah, most definitely. All right. So let's go ahead and get into Yahweh's word. We're thankful, we're grateful, we appreciate you. All righty. So, once again, we're going to start at Genesis, or Genesis chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 20. All right. And we'll say our Bible pledge first. It goes like this. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahshua as Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh, Amen. In Yahweh's name, amen. All right. All right. I'm doing well. I don't know if it's K1, KI 407. All right. So here we go. For Genesis chapter 8. We'll start there, right? And go into a little apocrypha today for those who are not familiar with it. Genesis chapter 8, verse 20, it says, Genesis chapter 8, verse 20, it reads as follows. And Noah builded an altar unto Yahweh, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahweh smelled a sweet savor, and Yahweh said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living, as I have done, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold, and heat, and summer, and winter, and day, and night shall not cease. Over to chapter 9, starting at verse 12. Genesis chapter 9, verse 12. Elohim Asad, and Elohim said, this is the token of Bara'at, of the covenant. This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. This is not going to cease. Verse 13, I do set my Kwashat Avanavan, my bow, in the cloud, talking about the actual rainbow, the Roy G. Biv. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of the covenant between me and the earth. Verse 14, and it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. Verse 15, and I will remember, it will be brought back to my remembrance when I, in Revelation chapter 4, see what you see in Genesis chapter 12, right? And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I will remember, I had that. That I may remember everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Naah, this is Bara'at. This is Bara'at. This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me, Yahweh, and all flesh that is upon Aratz, upon the earth. Right? We just read Genesis chapter 8, verses 20 through 22. We just read Genesis chapter 9, verses 12 through 17. May Yahweh have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and especially the doers of his most holy word. If you would like to be seated, you may do so. Go back to what you're doing in the presence of Yahweh. I will read one more set of verses for us out of Jasher chapter 5. Yashar Chaya At Chaya. Jasher chapter 5 and verse 5, as we were saying earlier. And I think I saw a couple persons come in here. How you doing, Beck? How you doing, Kofi? How you doing? I saw somebody. Did I say hello, Sister Sage, Sister Deborah? No, I didn't say hello, Sister Sage. How you doing, Sister Shima? Music 227306876 746. Thanks for being part of the community. Appreciate you. Sorry. I just sent an invitation to somebody. Don't worry about it. It's an accident. You can just let it go, and it'll go off by itself, or you can decline. And how you doing? My wife is on, the Honorable Alma. As always, check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Love you, babe. Thank you for being on. Alrighty. Here we go. Jasher, chapter 5, verse 5. Yashar, Chaya, Chaya. Jasher, chapter 5, and verse 5. Alright, it reads as follows. And all who followed Yahweh died in those days, before they saw the evil which Elohim declared to do upon the earth. Verse 6, and after the lapse of many years, in the 480th year of the life of Noah, right? He was 480 years before he was told to build the ark. We've already gone through that piece. Then it says, when all those men who followed Yahweh had died away from amongst the sons of men, and only Methuselah, right, which is Matavasalah, right, his name, the end of his name, by the way, Methuselah, is literally Salah. Pause and think about it, right? But nevertheless, right, when only Methuselah was then left, Elohim said unto Naah at Matavasalah, saying, speak ye and proclaim to the sons of men, saying, thus saith Adon, return from your evil ways and forsake your works. Did not we talk about works yesterday a few times? Even talked about it in our Zoom session late in the evening on Patreon, right? It says what? He says, speak ye and proclaim to the sons of men, saying, thus saith Adon, return from your evil ways and forsake, leave behind the reputation of what? Your works. And Adon will repent of the evil that he declared to do to you, so that it shall not come to pass. Verse 8, for thus saith Adon, behold, I give you a period of 120 years. If you will turn to me and forsake your evil ways, then will I also return from the evil which I told you, and it shall not exist, saith Adon, saith the Lord. How you doing, Raj? How you doing, Darius? Be safe in your travels. Right? Verse 9, and Noah and Methuselah spoke all the words of Adon to the sons of men, day after day, constantly speaking to them. Verse 10, but the sons of men would not hearken to them, nor incline their ears to their words, and they were stiff-necked. We just read now Jasher chapter 5, verses 5 through 10. Amen. We're going to focus on that today. We already know this matches up with everything in Badashat, or what we call Genesis. Praise Yah. And if you haven't done so already, you may be seated in the presence of Yah. Thank you for reading the word with us. So, today we're going to talk about, as the theme for today is pretty simple. The theme that we're going to utilize today to ensure that we get the word that Havak HaKodash has sent me with is Noah preached. How you doing, baby girl? Gifted. Noah preached. What are we talking about today? Noah preached. Seems simple enough, right? Noah did what? Noah preached. He gave a word. That's what he did. And just as in the days of Noah, we're supposed to give the word. See, remember, that's why we're going through this series, right? When you're talking about the promise, and you're talking about covenant, and you're talking about the token, and all these things that go on, just as in the days of Noah, right? Time is given. You know how many persons didn't believe back then that they would have 120 years? Noah had been around 480 years. You mean to tell me, Noah, you've been around 480 years, and then you're going to have another 120? Or you're going to have another 120? Think about that. Noah, you've been around how long? 480 years, right? You're going to have another 120. Right? Technically, you're going to tell me that you've been around this long, and now all I got is 1/4 more of your life that you've already lived. I got 1/4 of what your life is, and I'm supposed to go ahead and get stuff together. Everything's going to change, right? And it's not coming from a place where persons are ignorant. It's coming from a place where persons will not hearken, will not listen to the voice of Yahweh, to the word of Yah, to ensure that his will is done. Okay, thank you, moderators. I appreciate you. Don't know what to be said. Appreciate you. Oh, that's the same as Money Green? Okay, I'm going to have to recall that. It's going to take me a minute. Kofi and Money Green are the same one. Praise Yah. Right? But just as in the days of Noah, see, Noah preached. He preached every day. See, that's one of the things that's lost in translation. I mean, it says that he told everybody there was going to be a flood. Right? You could say that his works preached for themselves because Noah kept building an ark when persons wouldn't believe. And Noah had to build something that was something nobody had ever seen to specifications that nobody could ever get ready for, because who was getting ready to survive in something that was going to be in a worldwide flood to deal with rain that had never existed yet? No one. But Noah preached. And not only did Noah preach, if you missed it, Noah at Matapasalah, or Noah and Methuselah, preached together. Methuselah is very important to this because Methuselah is the son of who? Anybody know who Methuselah is the child of? I want to make sure we set this up correctly. We gotta catch this. Methuselah is the son of who? And who is Noah the great-grandson of? Here we go. He is the son of Anache, or Enoch. So Methuselah is the son of Enoch, right? So the lineage from Enoch is Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. Now, we don't really ever hear about Lamech or Lamech, but you have four. And it's important, each one represents something a little different. Going towards Noah, who represents, he was somebody who was supposed to guide us through through something that was going to happen. And he was Noah, in a sense, himself is even a promise. Because this is how everything works. We know that Adam and Eve fall. We know that Cain kills Abel, therefore Abel's bloodline ends with his demise. Cain's bloodline goes to do wicked and evil, where the Bible even discusses, and where the scrolls even discuss Cain and describe him at times, and those who come out of him as the sons of Cain. The sons of Cain are basically the sons of the devil. They're at enmity with the word. And not because Cain was not given an opportunity to get himself together. No. Remember, if you recall, Cain could have asked for forgiveness, and Yah was trying to give him forgiveness, but Cain wouldn't accept it because he had this thing in him that said, there's no way I can be forgiven for what I have done. I have taken the life of my brother. I'm the first. Now think about what Cain is carrying. If we be honest, and a lot of us carry stuff like that, we're the first one to do something like this, or we feel like nobody's ever let the Most High down like we have, or we feel like nobody in our family is as much as, forgive my words, my language, but we feel like nobody in our family is as much of a screw up as we might happen to be, or at least how we feel at the time, right? However, Cain and Yahweh, they have a conversation. Cain at Alachem, they have a conversation. Yahweh Asar, he says, hey, Cain, yes, you've done this, but you don't have to leave. You don't have to go outside of my presence because you've messed up. You don't have to go away. Cain says, no, I can't be around. And Yahweh says, no, it's okay. And he says, no, persons will try to take my life. He says, I've got to go into hiding because persons might take my life. I made this huge mistake. I love my brother, but I let jealousy, I let envy, I let strife, I let a satanic type of spirit take over me. I become something that I would never want to be. And so rather than Cain taking time to ever forgive himself, be forgiven by the Most High, he keeps trying to get away. Yahweh even says, look, I'll watch over you. Just forget. All you need to do is ask for forgiveness. Cain can't do this. He can't bring himself to realize that he tried to lie about it. Then he tried to say, am I my brother's keeper? For those of you who keep talking about you're not your brother's keeper, you're quoting Cain, right? And you're quoting Cain because Cain was trying to lie and say, when the Most High said, where's your brother Abel? And Cain was like, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know where he's at. And and he says, unto Cain, he says, your brother's blood and I are still talking. His blood speaks, because the blood speaks, right? Abel just did righteousness and you took a life of a righteous man. His blood speaks. We're still talking. And so then Cain finally has to admit, since the Most High says, I know what you did, Cain finally says, okay, well, I'll go ahead and talk to you about it. But the Most High is trying to get Cain to come back. As much as we want to just down persons when they sin and down the Cains, and even this happens with who we call Judas Iscariot, Yehovadas, or Yehovadah, even his name is technically close to Judah, the word we use for Judah, but Judas Iscariot, even he himself could have asked for forgiveness. I know we have this thing where Judas could have asked for forgiveness. He tried to make things right with man and never with the Most High. He was afraid to go to the Most High because he had taken the life of his son. Right? Or so he believed. Because no man took the Most High's life. He laid it down. He told Judas this, and he told Judas that person have a part to play. But Judas couldn't take it. Judas was like, man, I betrayed him. Remember, he tried to give the payment back, and he wouldn't give it back, so he threw the silver in the field, right? And the field is still basically named after the blood money, after the blood pact that they had. And then he took his own life by being cursed, by being hung from a tree, right? But we forget that persons can ask for forgiveness. Hey, how you doing, Auntie Mary? Hopefully you were safe wherever you might be in your travels. Right? We forget that that Judas could have asked for forgiveness. Cain, now back to Cain, and how you doing, Brother Jermaine, if I didn't say so already, right? And please check out Brother Jermaine's clothing line and stuff. Don't forget about our brother up there, right? So, and don't forget about the tie-dye shirts either, by the way, coming up for VBS, August 5th through the 9th. Don't forget, if you can leave those evenings open for us, or for some of you, your afternoons. We hope to see you guys very soon, right? Well, Judas made a covenant with the wicked, sure, but he could have asked for forgiveness, right? Judas, we have this weird thing that Judas could have never been forgiven because we believe in, once again, this word that's only mentioned one time in the Bible, not there, by the way, but only mentioned one time in the Bible, this word called predestinate. And we talked about that word did not mean predestinate, that's somebody else's culture, right, of destiny, and you must meet your destiny, yada, yada, yada. No, even the word predestinate, which you get from Romans chapter 8, verse 29, you'll see there that word predestinate is actually talking about that you were prioritized. Doesn't mean you were predestinated, right? And how you doing, Jose? And all these things that are going on, right? Going back to Cain, Cain has made this mistake, and Cain could have gotten forgiveness. And even the Bible says that since Cain wants to leave, he's afraid that he'll be off. So even though he won't come back to the Most High, Cain is still marked by the Most High, which some of you may not know. But during the 17 and 1800s, they started giving this thing saying that marked, because they were in the chattel slavery, and they had to give all these persons who were being told that they were white and being told that these so-called black persons didn't deserve any kind of freedom. They were like, well, we need you to give this to us in some kind of biblical form, because we believe in this, in Christian nationalism, in this white Jesus Christ. But this white Jesus Christ seems to be wicked if we just go be killing persons because of the color of their skin. And so they started telling the story that to be marked meant to be black. Matter of fact, if you are a Mormon, right? If you are a Mormon, or if you know somebody who's a Mormon, even if they say, no, I'm not like them old Mormons, I'm part of the new Mormonism, but Mormons, like we say all the time, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the original. So what does the original Mormon believe? The original Mormon believes that those who are black are those who are cursed, right? First of all, they believe that black persons are cursed because we didn't fight in the war between Jesus Christ and the devil. Now, not even Jesus Christ. They believe in the Mormon Jesus. Don't get that twisted. I know we don't like the J word, but just hear what I'm saying. They don't just believe in Jesus. They say it's the Mormon Jesus. The Mormon Jesus comes from Elohim, that was some kind of, or Elohim, which was some kind of angel, or some kind of alien, excuse me, that came from somewhere else. He was good. He was a good person where he was. Came over. He had this wife, had a bunch of babies with the wife. Jesus Christ was one of the babies. The devil was one of the babies. And, and then all this other stuff, and then the earth got populated. But and the devil and Jesus, the Mormon Jesus, the devil and the Mormon Jesus got into it because the Mormon Jesus believed that you should just be able to be saved by, this is how they explain New Testament, Old Testament stuff. The Mormon Jesus declared that you should be saved because the devil, should be saved because the Mormon Jesus is basically the devil to me. So forgive me, I got to compartmentalize. The Mormon Jesus wants you to be saved just because you believe, but the devil wants you to be saved if you follow the works. If you don't follow the works, you should be punished. But the Mormon Jesus says, well, nobody can follow the works, so you should be saved. So they had a fight. You can look this up in the Book of Mormon, by the way. I'm not just making stuff up. For educational purposes only, thank you. Thank you, babe. Right? So you can read this on your own time. But the Mormon Jesus believes that. We don't believe in Jesus, let alone the Mormon Jesus. We believe in Yahshua. We don't believe in half man, half Zeus. Nevertheless, how you doing, Sister Patricia? Nevertheless, this is a belief system that they uphold, right? So they believe that if you fought for the Mormon Jesus, you were a human being and you were white, the so-called color white. If you fought for the devil, you lost your ability to become a human being, and that's how you became a demonic imp, basically. a demon, a fallen angel, or a fallen person even who's not allowed to be a person, and so you can't have a body. And then in between are the cowards that wouldn't fight for the Mormon Jesus, or wouldn't fight for the devil, and they say that's you. That's anybody who's black of skin. What did Uncle Record say? Those of you who are black of skin are full of sin. Right? This is where this stuff comes from. Like it's funny when we see it on the Boondocks and stuff, but it's real talk. That's how this stuff actually came to be. And then from there, you had stuff that graduated, or really around the same time. You also have persons that start saying, well, maybe we don't believe in that, but we know that black is cursed because that's what we've been taught. So what do they start teaching from there? They say, oh, well, those who were part of Cain was marked. So when Cain was marked, that meant he became black. Because, creation started with white, because that makes all types of scientific sense. Allegedly. I'm not saying allegedly as far as their belief system, because that's what they believe. I'm saying allegedly because I still have yet to see where you start off with no melanin and get super melanin, right? I don't get that stance yet, but that is what it is. So, so basically, Cain, when you hear even this term that Cain was marked, you'll hear a lot of persons even begin to tell you, well, Cain, therefore became black, right? Blacker than the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. If you know that movie that I'm talking about, We Friends. Right? And so Cain became black. He became cursed. He became something you should never want to partake in because, and this is why some of you, let's be honest, some of you grew up like this, especially if you grew up in a place, like certain places where, you were the black person that went to the white schools, or you were the one that was the token. I was a token for a while, to be honest with you, right? If you went to places like that, your friends would tell you, why do you have to call yourself black? They say that now, now more openly in public. Why do you call yourself black? Why do you worry about being black? Nobody, even black persons now, right? Why would you want to be identified as black? Do you know all the stuff that comes with black? Well, that comes from being, matter of fact, in the Mormons, they have a saying. You can look it up. If you'd like to Google it real quick and come back, feel free. How you doing, Jay? You can go and Google it and come back, or go on Pride and come back, or whatever it is that you want to look up on the search engine. But when you go look it up, you'll discover that when they have a saying that says, you are white and delightsome. White and delightsome. Literally meaning that if you are white, you're a delight. And there's persons who tell their stories where they say that they are mixed and their family member who is black, their mother or father that's black, will be eventually loved by the family members who are not black, right, their grandparents, etc. And they'll start to say stuff to them like, man, you're so great, you do this, you do that, you're so great with my son, you're so great with my daughter, I just wish that you could be white and delightsome. They'll tell them that. Right? So some of this stuff that you see is very important that we even talk about some of this stuff, because you don't know that when it says marked, a lot of persons take that and run all types of ways with it. You said only way you've seen something go from light to black is a self-tanner. Fake ethnicity. Yep. Right? Or this whole thing where they're injecting melanin, or they're injecting all types of tattoo stuff now, where they're making themselves look ridiculous, but at least they have some kind of color in their skin. Right? But they just be like, we wish you were white and delightsome. But when you talk about Cain, this word marked, we know what marked means. Right? Because marked, Alpha in Paleo Hebrew, it's the last character of the Aleph Bet, which is Tav. Right? Which is Tav. Tav means to be finished, to be complete, to be the last thing. Right? We know that also represents that Yahashva's grace that will be exuded on the Tav, on the cross. Right? But it also means to be marked. So when Cain was marked, he's marked in the same way that they also talk about in the book of Lamentations, where those who are Levites, those who are priests, are marked. Sometimes even when persons would wear sackcloth and ashes, they might be marked. This is why even though this is a hyper Catholicized way of doing things, when they do the Lent season, which is really an extension of Lupercalia, right? But when they do the Lent season, what do? They put the ash on the time. You think that comes from them. However, many of your persons at Yahashda right? Many of your people of Israel, they still do it to this day, but they would have done it back then. And so this mark that's put on it is something that we've been looking for, remember, since the first word, Badashat. We've been looking for it since creation. We've been looking for it since the universal statement, Badashat Bara, Alachem Chamayam Arat, or in beginning, Alachem created heaven towards earth, right? We've been looking for that mark, the person who will be marked, the person who will do something where everything will be finished, right? So Cain basically was marked by Yah. Yah put a mark on him to say, hey, what he's done is done. Don't take his life. That's why, remember, Cain complains. He says, somebody might try to take my life. And Yah says, no problem, mark, right? This is why you also have to be careful, because it talks about there will be a sign, a mark, a seal that will be, right, something that will seal us, that will be put on the foreheads of those who are righteous. There will also be other marks that will be out there that will be put on the forehead, right, of those who serve the devil, right? And you want to make sure, as much as persons see, even within our own culture, even within our own people, unfortunately, we have persons trying to argue he wasn't on the Tav, right? Be careful who you're sealed by, or what sealed you, or what's understanding. See, how are you sealed by a Tav? Well, Tav is the last character of the Aleph Bet, or the Aleph Ba'et. Therefore, if it's the last character, it's telling us that anything outside of Aleph at Tav, because he's not the Alpha and the Omega, that's somebody else's culture. He is the Aleph at Tav. Anything that's not in between there, anything that's not of his culture, anything that's not of his word, every word that's uttered out of his mouth is what we should be paying attention to, because every character puts together every word. And so if it's not within his characters, the Father, the Aleph, marks it, Tav. Anything in between is what we follow. So Cain is marked to say, Aleph, the Father, the Aleph at Tav has put the Tav, the mark, right? He's put the mark on Cain. Cain is protected. He's put the mark on Cain's forehead. You can't deny. You see something on somebody's forehead, that's easy to see. We're not gonna be able to argue whether that's righteous or not, whether you can see it or not, right? Persons used to walk around Israel sometimes with scriptures on their forehead to ensure that you could see that they were marked by the word. Now that's a little much, right? That was a little more tradition. That was a little more trying to show off. That was somebody trying to floss. That was religious leaders trying to take it to a ridiculous amount. But still, that was what was to be done. Amen. The original language is awesome. Come on now, right? So I'm just saying these words, they mean a lot. But why do we go to Cain? Cain is important because Cain shows that there could have been, even through Cain messing up, just like when David messed up, David still, in his mess up with Bathsheba, or who we call Bathsheba, even with him messing up with Bathsheba, he still had the promise come through his seed, and he works, and Yahweh was able to work out all things for Tabah towards those who love him, are called according to his purpose. And even when David messed up, David and Bathsheba might have lost the initial child. They came through a covenant that Yahweh was not pleased with. And even though Yahweh still says, I didn't want that covenant, because even in Matthew chapter 1 and even in Luke chapter 3, you will discover that the Most High keeps referring in the bloodline. He keeps referring to Solomon as the child, or I'm sorry, not Solomon, excuse me, Bathsheba as Uriah's wife, right? He keeps saying it over and over again. Technically, that's Uriah's wife. But he says, hey, because of the promise I have on you, because your heart, and because of your asking for forgiveness, and you saying, create in me a clean heart, I will still allow the bloodline to come through you. So even in David's messed up state, when he asked for forgiveness and said, hey, create in me a clean heart, I can only serve you if I have clean hands, please forgive me, Yahweh still says, I will forgive, and I'll allow the bloodline to come through what it was purposed. Even though you messed it up, I will still find a way to cleanse it and allow the Messiah to come through your bloodline still, to where King David's throne will still exist even in Revelation, right? During the 1,000-year reign, even his throne shall be there. Okay, so Cain could have still had the vision that Yah had in his life. Cain was the eldest. It should have came through Cain, not even Abel. So even when Abel was offed by Cain, Cain could have asked for forgiveness, but he wouldn't. So Yah said, I'll still cover you as you go out. But now we have a problem. Cain is going outside of the protection of Yah. He's going outside of the kingdom. He's going out of the ways of Yah. So how are we going to do this? Well, we have another child that's born to who we call Adam and Eve. And this child is called Seth. Sat, right? Literally almost like somebody sought, sat upon, right? Sat. I know we say Seth, but his name would have been Sat, or his name is Sat. And Sat, or Seth, begins to have children, and Yah starts to look at that now as the bloodline that he will bless. So Seth is important because Cain gives up his birthright. Kind of reminds us of somebody else, doesn't it? Kind of reminds us of Esau at Yaakov, right? Esav at Yaakov, or Esau and Jacob. Esau, right, was the firstborn, right? Now, technically, we know that it was already prophetic that he would be usurped by his brother, because his brother's name doesn't mean trickster, it means usurper. That being said, right? That being said, Cain still gave up the birthright. It wasn't because Yah said you can't have it, right? Yah was showing prophetically that he, being in the past, present, and future, he saw in the future that Esau would give up the birthright, and showed therefore when they were born that, hey, Jacob was going to usurp Esau. Why? Because Esau's going to give up the birthright, and Esau couldn't handle being hungry. Esau, a great warrior, couldn't handle being hungry, right? And so he gave up the birthright. Cain couldn't handle what he did. And I know it's not a small thing to off one's brother, but it shouldn't be so great that you don't ask for forgiveness and get back into the presence of Yah when you do something wrong. How you doing, Minister Samantha Red? And so now we have, how you doing, Sister Austin? Did I say hello earlier? I hope I did. I apologize if I did not. And so Cain lost his birthright. He leaves. He's marked. He's covered to make sure that he's not offed. He's given time still by the Most High to get it together, but he lost his birthright. He gives it up. He walks away. He gets married, and they go somewhere else, and he goes to a place that's called the land of Nod, which is basically the land of wandering. Because without Yah, even if you're marked by him, without him, you'll just wander. But then here comes Seth, and Seth is going to give birth to, you're going to have Enos and Canaan and all these persons leading down unto Enoch. Now, Enoch is extremely important because we know Enoch is obviously somebody. Now, in your Bible, if you've never read the book of Enoch, if you've never read the book of Jasher, all you really know in the Bible in Genesis is it says that Enoch was born. He lived 60-something years, I believe. I think it was 65 years. Then Enoch has a child, and then it says he pleased Elohim, and then it says he was translated. He did not experience death. And if all you have is that, you'll just go, okay, like, and you hear a lot of sermons that, you've heard a lot of sermons even dealing with, all you got to do is please Elohim. But then we'll find out later, without faith, it's impossible to please him. But then it tells you in the same scripture in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6 and 7, that you got to start dealing with works. By faith, somebody did a work. 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 Right? Talking about by faith, Abraham did some works. By faith, Sarah did some works. By faith, Job did some works. Right? And this is where we comprehend that faith without works has no life. Right? But Enoch is somebody who is like many of us, if we be honest. He was a great person, but he had no response. He didn't care about the word like that. Enoch is like many of us, how we started. If you read about Enoch, hey, he was 65 years old. Now, they lived longer back then and stuff like that, and sometimes they might have had children younger, but they weren't in a rush necessarily to have children because they lived a lot longer than what we lived. So, but Enoch gets to the childbearing age or whatever, gets married, has sex, has a child, like everybody does. But when he has a child, and this happens for a lot of fathers too, right? Mothers, I'm not sure. I've never really talked to a mother actually about obviously outside of my wife. But I never really talked to a mother about kind of like what happens as far as what changes, what connects. I know from the male point of view, being a father kind of changes the game up. Like, either you're going to, like, if you're not going to change for righteousness when you become a father, you're just not going to be righteous. Like, for real, it's going to take a lot, because if you're a father, even when you be out there like that, if you out there crazy, whatever you want to consider out there to be, you will look your child in the eye. Girl, a lot of times we talk about you look a little girl in the eye of me, but little boy, like you even realize, like this dude gonna turn into a man, and he gonna be a reflection of me. you'll look at your daughter and say, she gonna turn into a woman. She gonna try to find somebody like me. And a lot of men change because of who we are. We realize, like, I don't really want her to find somebody like me, right? You'll look your daughter in the eye and be like, oh, shoot, I wouldn't marry me at all. I got to protect her. How you doing, Sister Helen? How you doing, Marky, if I didn't say so already? You'll say to yourself stuff like that, like, man, this ain't it. My life ain't it. I can't have my daughter being dedicated to somebody like myself. And so you begin to try and make changes. You look your son in the eye, you begin to start making changes. You'll see even the way that one treats prayerfully, one treats their spouse begins to change, even if it's a slow change, because, hey, how the wife is affected is how the children are affected. I heard something about that the other day too. That was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Babe, if you're still on, correct me. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. It could have been. We were listening to some woman. I do not know her name, and she was taking questions from the audience, and somebody asked her a question about what it is to be a single mother. And this from a woman's perspective. I've never heard this perspective, period, though. This was really awesome the way she said it. I know this, but I've never heard it said in this manner. She said, look, I know persons want me to come out here and talk about that you can make it as a single mother and to give you positivity and stuff like that. And I hope, and single mothers, please just listen to the whole thing first before you, because you might kind of bite your lip a little bit up. I promise she fixes it up. Okay? All right, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what I heard, but I think you'll agree with this by the end. How you doing, Brother TJ? She says, like, I know you want me to think, okay, the single mother would make it, and this and that. But she said the reality is there's, and hear what I'm saying carefully. She says the reality is there's no such thing as a single mother. And at first, that kind of threw me for a loop, but I kept listening. Because I was like, something felt great about what she said, but then I was like, but I'm a man, right? So I was like, okay, let me just keep listening, because I'm a dude. I don't really know, what that part of what she's talking about. But this is a woman talking to a woman, and everybody got quiet when she said it. So I was like, okay, this must be something going on here. Let me listen as somebody is a fly on the wall, because I'm not a woman. And so she keeps talking. She goes, yeah, there's no such thing as a single mother. She says, because that's not what we were purposed to do. She said, so as much as it is, she was like, I as a single mother, she said there's studies done, and she said that the studies actually show that a mother, now once again, roll with me, this is a woman speaking. She said, studies show that the greater the mother is, or the greater the mother is, then it means the greater, right? That's the greater wife she is. And I was still like, okay, I don't know, this might sound like a little bit of too far to the right. I was like, let me hang in there, right? Then she started saying some stuff that made me have to look at her statement differently. Then she goes after that. She says, the mother is supposed to be protected. She's like, it was never our purpose to be single mothers. She said, as a matter of fact, she said the way that it works is that the only way you become a mother is that there must be a father. I said, okay, we're moving now. And then she said, so therefore there's a problem, because what they found is that mothers who are bad mothers are usually mothers who are not uplifted by their husbands. She said mothers are usually great wives, right? Or great mothers are great wives. And she said great mothers are lifted up by great husbands. Because what is it that makes a husband great? She was like, in society, studies show us that we don't care really, and this sounds crazy. I'm not saying this is 100% accurate the way she said it, but just hear the point of view. She said, we don't really grade fathers or great fathers on even fatherhood. We don't even grade, think about husbands as being great fathers, even though they can be, obviously, to the children. But hear what she's saying. She's saying, in society, what we really look at is the better the father, it means the more he makes his wife look great. And the more the wife is uplifted, she becomes greater towards the children. It's on a string. And so her point is that the problem is that we created a society to where the single mother is celebrated as being a single mother, rather than us looking at, hey, yes, you must be strong, do what you got to do as a single mother, but the goal should be that single mother should be wrapped up in community and uplifted, right? The single mother, we should be looking to see what we can do to help with the children and help her, because she's not supposed to have all that on her shoulders. And I've said this before, and I'm not sure a person's going to get mad at me now or not, or if you're mad at me. Once again, I didn't say it. I'm just telling you. I've never heard it said that way. But I will say this. I've said this plenty of times. There is no woman, there's no woman that has ever been created, not one, who wants to have a job. I didn't say there's not a woman that doesn't want to have a job. But that's lack mentality, right? Because we don't want, we need. I'm not saying there's not a woman that doesn't like working. I'm not saying there's not a woman that shouldn't have a business. The Proverbs 31 woman has her own business. I'm not saying that there's not a woman who doesn't, who can't carry the weight. What I'm saying though is that if you're talking about husband, wife, especially culturally speaking and biblically speaking, there is not a woman who should have to have a job. If she has one, she'll work it a lot better. I've seen it, because I told you when I first got together with Elder Alma, she was the breadwinner by far. I'm talking about like, I was barely, I couldn't pay the rent in what I was making when we first got together, not from lack of trying, right? There were months that I did well, but I was, pretty much the only thing I made was musician money, and it was church musician money, and that could be fleeting, right? So a lot of stuff that I was doing, I was not doing well. I was putting in job applications. I was trying to get this done. I was trying to work for different family companies and stuff. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I wasn't pulling my weight. And I felt some kind of way about it, but never thought about how much she felt about it until, we talked about in the beginning that I would need to become for her. This was something that was a statement. Like, you need to at least become if you're not going to become the breadwinner. We talked about this before we got married, right? And making sure that we talked about how marriage goes, and we should talk about certain things. We made it a point to talk about from the beginning that, hey, you're going to have to at least, be dependable financially, which was not a bad thing. Now, I look back at it now, to be honest, I was out of order. Because if a man can't take care of his family, he is less than an infidel. How you doing, Kofi? I'm sorry, bro. How you doing? I missed you earlier. Long time no talk to. So I realized and recognized I had to become greater in that, and that was always part of the goal. And I was trying my best to do it in the workforce. I was doing it with the side hustles. I was doing it riding my bike, making deliveries. I mean, I was trying to do 15 jobs and stuff and get this, and nobody would hire me. I was going here. Persons were promised. I tried to become pastors through the whole voting thing, would always get second place. And then finally, it was like, if I'm going to do this Levite thing, I'm going to do it. And it was right when stuff was falling apart. And so I felt like the time was up. But when I finally did this walk, Yah blessed me, and He's been blessing me and my family and I ever since, right? But there's not a woman that's ever been created that wants to have a job. How you doing, Ebony? That wants to have a job, right? She's not created to have that pressure on her. How you doing, Sister Sherry? It's not that she won't help and roll up her sleeves from time to time, but she shouldn't have to have a job, because her work is supposed to look. And now, once again, I'm not saying a woman's work is only in the house, it's only that, but hear what I'm saying. Her work, her worth, her value, even as far as the community is concerned, is she's the first teacher. Like when your wife is going through pregnancy, she's supposed to get lifted up and be off her feet and to be treated a certain way, because she's supposed to be the first teacher. The baby's learning inside the womb from mama, and the baby learns from the breast of mama, and the baby until the baby's weaned, and then finally the baby, if it's a baby boy especially, the baby boy becomes the father's apprentice. She's going to be the main teacher. She's going to be the main one to give life. She's going to be the main one to say this. How she reacts to daddy is how son and daughter react to daddy. Right? How she lays down law in the house is how the husband's direction will be protected. She's extremely valuable. Right? She's so valuable that when we come into agreement on marriage, we're supposed to pay a dowry to show that, hey, before she even leaves your family, I want to show you that I can take care of her. That's how powerful a wife is that she's not supposed to go from wife to your wife without you being able to show you can take care of her. Right? It's a physical way of showing, but she's got to be taken care of physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. This is just truth. This is fact. Right? This is just truth. This is fact. So here we have, this thing that's missing where, we forget how important it is. And having a child for Esau changes his whole life. He was what we would call, I'm gonna use worldly language for a little bit. He was what you might call, he was a good dude. Like Enoch was that cat that you see and you be like, yo, what's up, Enoch? Everything's cool, straight. You know, dap him up real quick. You know, give him that hug. Yo, man, let's go to the game. Let's do this. Let's go out for a beer. I mean, he was always cool. He kept it real. He ain't do nothing bad, right? He ain't do nothing bad. Like a lot of persons, I'm not a bad person. I'm a good dude. I'm a good person. I'm a good girl. I'm cool, right? But he didn't have that relationship with y'all together. He has a child. Everything begins to change. He has a child. He looks his child in the face and he says, I can't be what I used to be because my child's coming up. And now all of a sudden, what he was told by Adam, and by the way, Adam was alive to be able to speak to Enoch because Adam is buried by Enoch. Keep reading the book of Jasher from where we started in chapter 5. Just keep reading through. You'll find some stuff out about Adam, about Enoch, about a lot of persons, about Noah, about Noah's wife. Matter of fact, you'll find her name in there. You want to do some research real quick and read through. You'll find that Noah's wife, as much as we keep talking about these sisters are never named, they're named quite often. You just have to go outside of when persons who don't like you and don't like your women and don't like women in general because they're misogynists, they don't care about women and what value they have and stuff like that. So you'll find that a lot in reading the book. And by the way, if you're one of those persons saying, I don't believe in reading anything outside the 66 books because all of it doesn't make sense. Problem with that is your Bible says to read the book of Jasher. David says it. So if King David, who you love to quote, who you love to say his psalms and all this stuff, if King David says, hey, before somebody comes into my court, especially as men, we actually in our men's meetings last year, we made it a point to go through the book of Jasher for a little while. So we believe here it's extremely important for every brother to go through the book of Jasher, right? The book of Jasher should be something that makes things more concrete for you, and it will make sure that you as a teacher for your family will be able to teach truth, right? It's extremely important and valuable book. With the book of Noah has the book of Noah, the Chronicles of Noah, in Genesis, and what we're talking about with the promise of the rainbow, we're talking about Noah and his family. It is extremely important that you recognize and realize what's going on with Noah or Noah. So, you have Enoch now that begins to change his ways, and Enoch starts to separate his family from everyone else. Enoch begins to separate his family from everyone else. How you doing, Yadamaya? Right? Enoch begins to take time out and say, I'm going to spend more time with the Most High. He even then will leave his family from time to time and spend time by himself and then come back to his family. And then he begins to take the word and begins to preach it to those that are in the world, right? Those that are upon the earth, upon Arats. Once again, today we're talking about, in the series, The Promise of the Rainbow, we are talking specifically about Noah preached. But Noah is going to preach a word that he's getting from Enoch. This is how important our family is in these promises and keeping the promise and making sure that we keep something as simple as the token of the rainbow intact so that persons, when they look for certain things, they look at it from the proper perspective. Right? Noah's going to preach what Enoch preached. Enoch preached so much that he became known as basically, well, we could just say it like this, he's the king of the earth. Because everybody upon the earth respected Enoch. Now, they didn't look to Yahweh, which is dangerous. They worship the preacher, right? They follow the word of the preacher, but they really like the preacher. They didn't necessarily get relationship with the Most High. This is why works are great, but make sure you got your faith in the right thing. Just because faith without works has no life doesn't mean that works without faith has no life. Or just because faith with misplaced works has no life doesn't mean that works with misplaced faith has life. So, what happens here with Enoch is that Enoch begins to be loved, and everybody upon the earth follows the words that Enoch says. Right? Then Enoch gets to a place where he has to bury Adam. When he buries Adam, now game changes. Everything flips a little bit. He has to bury Adam, the first of our people, as far as what you would call humanity. Right? And he has to bury him. Once he buries him, Enoch knows his time is up, right? The first person to touch the first man, once you bury him, your time is up. Yes, right, putting more into creation versus the creator. So Enoch basically starts spending less time with everybody again, starts getting more and more. And it says, by the way, Enoch, when he spent so much time with Yahweh, it said, you know how they make Charlton Heston look really bright when he comes down and all of a sudden he's got old white hair, and I don't know about the old white hair part, but you know how it says like Charlton Heston came down and he was all bright and everything in the movie of the Ten Commandments? They say that's what happened with, the Bible declares that's what happened with Enoch. That he started going away so much that he came back and his countenance was like bright, almost like the transfiguration with the Hushfat, right? Where he was like that. Persons came back and they were like, they couldn't even look at him. And he would preach the word and something was different about him. And when you preach the word, and when you live this word, and when you live in righteousness, and when you keep talking about the token, and you make sure that the rainbow is put in its proper perspective, and you make sure that you live by righteousness no matter what, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's difficult for persons to look on you. But keep preaching anyways. Sometimes it's difficult for the persons who aren't doing righteous things to hear you talking about righteousness all the time. Keep preaching anyways. Sometimes when you separate yourself and you come back and you don't look like what you used to look like, people can't take it. But they can't look on it. But that's okay. It's a sign of righteousness. Uh-oh. I'm sorry, TikTok. We lost them for a second. Right? But it's a sign of righteousness. Don't be afraid to be righteous. Don't be afraid to be a city set upon a hill. Don't be afraid to be a candle that persons need to see. Don't cover that up. Don't snuff out the oxygen. I was moving in slow motion. Okay. Right? Don't be afraid to be who you were called to be. Before the foundation of the world needs to see something foundational. Right? The world needs to see something different. And forgive me, TikTok, I'm going to put you guys on a different segment. Give me like 10 seconds. Alrighty. But the world needs to see something foundational. It needs to see something that's different. It needs to see something that doesn't look like everything that they've been through. They need to see somebody who's thrown into the fire and comes out and they're not smelling like smoke and carries the Most High with them, or the Son of the Most High with them when they come out. They need to see something different. Yeah, I hear you, Bruno. Right? So here we go. So here we go now. So Enoch, who Noah's going to preach, but Enoch preached. Enoch begins to prepare himself to be translated. It's been revealed to him that he's not going to have a typical extinguishing of life. He is going to go through something different. He's going to be translated. Enoch is going to be translated. He's not going to be buried like everybody else. And the persons love Enoch so much. All the people of the earth, because at this point the earth is just one nation, which is Yah's will, right? But all of them are following Enoch so much to the point to where Enoch has to start telling them, look, how you doing, Brother Ali? He has to start saying, hey, look, I don't know what you think's gonna happen, but when I get ready to go, he's like, this is gonna be different. He tells them straight up, like, I don't know what you're looking for, but this ain't gonna be what you think it's gonna be, and you're probably not gonna make it. You're gonna die. Leave me alone to be translated. This is not for you. This is not your anointed. This is not your calling. This is not your path. This is mine. Allow me to do this, or something's gonna happen. But they won't leave him alone. He says it several times. They will not leave him alone. To the point to where he gets translated, and later persons come looking because all these men that went with him that would not leave him alone, they didn't come back. They finally found the men, and they found the men basically crushed. Right? And the way that it happened is basically, look at Ezekiel, you'll find that it's very similar to Ezekiel. Instead of a chariot coming up per se, it's a horse, right, that comes down, and he takes the horse on up and is translated, right? So now we have this going on. We have this being looked at. We have Enoch is gone, but Enoch had a son, Matasalah, or Methuselah, right? That's his last name, Selah, or the last part of his name. So you have Methuselah. And Methuselah's name actually is talking about one who throws the spear, or one who can hit the target with the spear. Right? Literally, his name talking about one who will hit the target. This is important to catch, excuse me. Now, Methuselah preaches what his daddy preaches. But they weren't in love with the words of his daddy. They were in love with his daddy. They were in love with what Enoch became and was translated, and the brightness that he brought, but they weren't in love with the one that Enoch served. But Methuselah, faithful to his daddy, so his daddy would be king of the earth. So that means Methuselah now is next in line to be king of the earth. But now they don't want to listen to Methuselah, because Methuselah, even though he preaches what his daddy preaches, and even though he looks like his daddy and all this, he's not his daddy. And they weren't ready to give up their love for this flesh of Enoch, right? They wanted to continue to make sure that they had a fleshly tie. You know how persons, they get, and I'm trying my best to make sure even some of the meetings we're having with SOC, eventually we need the ministerial staff to take over, not just for the fact that it's too much on one person to do, but also we should never get so tied to one person. You should never get so tied to me that all of a sudden I become the only person that can preach the truth. I'm not the only person that can preach the truth. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons we have others in training, is because there's others who can preach too, right? But I'm not the only person who's a pastor that can preach the truth. I'm not. I haven't cornered the market on truth, because Yahweh's truth is for everyone. There's got to be, there's at least several people out there. I can name some of them, even if I don't agree with every single thing that's come out their mouth. I can name plenty of persons. Dr. Miles Monroe. And he'll still say Jesus every once in a while in his preaching. But Dr. Miles Monroe, I credit him for so much about just kingdom, just government. I would not know without him. Yusuf El, he's not even a pastor. He's not even a follower of the way. But he is somebody who can cite more about word and law than many of us can. And he'll cuss and say stuff like that. But I promise you listen to him, you'll at least know how laws work, right? And you'll know how spirituality must be involved in law. There's Pastor Stephen Doggy, and he's still talking about Christian and talking about power in the name of Jesus and stuff like that. And I know it's hard to deal with. Listen to what he's saying though, and listen to how he's coming out of stuff. Had he been around a little longer, I think that some of that stuff would have gone away. But listen to what he's saying. Right? Some of the stuff you can still see he's got a little bit of pompous nature and look at me nature and stuff. But look at some of the stuff that he's saying. He's saying some real stuff, right? Like there's plenty of persons out there. There's even on TikTok in our little communities that we have, Brother Vargas, excellent. Obviously, persons that are SOC go without saying. I mean, Minister Tamara, Minister Shante, Minister Bertram, Minister Yasab, Minister Elisha, Minister Nais. See if I keep saying, I apologize, y'all. I don't want to skip somebody's name. Minister Samantha Ray, Minister Jenny, Minister Stephen, Minister Morel, Minister Moselle. Did I say Minister Samantha Ray? I think so. I'm going to forget somebody. I apologize. Obviously, myself, Elder Alma, being cream of the crop. Minister Nais. Right? There's so many of us. Right? But I'm just saying, there's others that can preach. I haven't cornered the market. But see, with them, what happened is that they only saw Enoch. And they never made it a point to be like, the word must come from another source. So once Enoch left, in their mind, there was no more word. Oh, Minister Dr. Tamaki, excuse me. Right? In their word, there was no more, in their mind, there was no more word. In their mind, there was no more word. So in their mind, they can't even, you hear what I'm saying? In their mind, they're like, we can't even listen to anybody preach. Why? Because you were only attached to one person, rather than making sure the word matched. I get that. Even if you, I still don't think I've cornered the market. But however, what I preach is true. And so if anything, don't be faithful to Kofi. Because if something happens to Kofi, or if I could be instructed tomorrow, Yahweh could say, Kofi, thank you for what you've done. You're no longer to preach. You're supposed to do this from now on. What if he tells me to stop preaching for months? Right? But you should look for the word. If you believe in Kofi, follow me as I follow Mashiach. So if you believe in what I'm saying, then just know that it doesn't come from me. So look for the word to be proper. Look for the culture to be proper. How you doing, Autumn? Shalom. Right? Look for the word to be proper. How you doing, Minister Shabbat? Don't look for somebody to look like Kofi, to have locks, and make sure they wear certain clothing, to do this, to do that, to make sure that they have this many children, blah, blah. No. Look for the word. Right? One of the reasons, see, persons miss this, just as in the days of Noah. Enoch is 3 generations prior to Noah's generation. Enoch is king of all the earth. Methuselah comes behind Enoch. And Methuselah, who's trying to give a word that we should pause and think about, the end of his name is Salah. And the one who is known as, his name also means he who can hit the target with his spear. He is the son of the king of the earth, which means that when the king of the earth dies, he's next in line. But they didn't take the word nor the position that he was given. Why? Because in their mind, we rock with Enoch. Enoch is gone. Hey, we just gonna go to whatever we want because there's no word. Matter of fact, if anything, you would think that these persons would love, who said that they had so much love for Enoch, well then why don't you keep preaching the word of Enoch? Why do you not keep living the word of Enoch? It wasn't about the word, it was about Enoch. Be careful, beloved, that when you think that the promise of the covenant is attached to the physical frame and not attached to the Most High. Yahweh lives inside of me, right? And I'm not saying I'm all that blah, blah. I'm saying that I am obviously the assembler of the assembly. So what I'm saying is the assembler, I don't want anybody to get it twisted. Don't ever get to a place to where you worship my flesh. Because I ain't nothing but a man. I am nothing but a man. All this stuff is going to go back to the earth from which it came. All of it. My soul and my spirit shall go to where it belongs. And it doesn't even belong to me, it belongs to the Most High. That's why to be absent from the body, when my soul loses attachment to the flesh, my soul and my spirit, they're going to be present with Yahweh because it belongs to him. And if I've done righteous in his eyes, right? Matter of fact, when I have completed being righteous in his eyes, then I should be given a glorified body. And I'm not going to be preaching when you see me again, because it says once we get to, when heaven meets earth, it says there will no longer be a need for a preacher. I've been given this assignment to preach to you all now because we need somebody to give a righteous word. But when we get to heaven, everybody's going to be perfect. Everybody's going to be in alignment again. And those who don't want to be part of it, they will be thrown into the lake of fire, right? So if by then, this is, even though it's my main assignment now in eternity, preaching is not even my main assignment. I might go back to praise and worship and just playing music. I don't know what he has for me, right? But right now my assignment is to preach because we know in part. So if somebody's not giving you holiness or more of the picture than whole, then you're going to keep falling for the okie doke. But Enoch, passive, and everybody who loved him so much to the point to where they were willing to lose their lives, basically by following Enoch, persons were willing to follow Enoch to the point of committing the dreaded S word. That means that you take your own life. Persons followed Enoch that much. And he told them not to. He said, look, if you follow me down this path, this is going to mess you up. Because this ain't for you, it's for me. And they still follow. Be careful how far you follow somebody. But Enoch has Methuselah. They can't take Methuselah because even though he's his son, and even though he preached the same word, they don't care about the word. They don't really care about the kingdom. They loved Enoch. Then Methuselah is preaching the word, and he has a son. And isn't this interesting how this happens? How quickly something can fall. An apple can fall far from the tree. Lamech is going to pass away. Lamech is the son of Enoch, or Lamech is the son of, Lamech is the son of Methuselah, or Lamech Atbar at Matavasalah, right? Lamech is the son of Methuselah. And Lamech, hear what I'm saying now? Lamech, hear what I'm saying, beloved? You ready? Lamech is not going to follow after Enoch nor follow after his own father. He's going to be born into a world where everybody looking at his father crazy. Everybody saying, you ain't Enoch, you ain't got it in you. And Lamech's kind of like, whatever. Right? And Lamech doesn't follow his father. He doesn't preach the word. However, Lamech has a son. And he doesn't have the same thing that happens with him that happened with his grandfather, Enoch. Lamech has a son, and he still doesn't really change, right? And matter of fact, if you look at it, his son's not raised by him. His son is raised by Methuselah. Lamech's son is Naah. Lamech's son is Noah. How you doing, Sister Kim? And now Noah comes on the scene. And Noah is raised by Methuselah. He's raised by his grandfather. How many of us have been raised by grandparents? Because our parents didn't change, or our parents didn't become what they were supposed to. And Lamech is from a royal priesthood. Lamech is supposed to be a priest. Lamech says, no, not for me. Not for me. I'm not really tripping on that. And so Lamech, who should have trained his son in righteousness, is just kind of there. Right? Lamech is just kind of there. And Noah begins to preach because Methuselah, even in everybody losing interest in him, continued preaching. Now, it's important that we catch that Noah preached. And it's important that we also catch that Methuselah's name, part of his name, or one of the definitions for his name is that he is the one, he is basically the spear that will hit the target. Is because when Noah is born, a lot of persons don't know this, Noah would have been born with albinoism. This does not mean that he would not be what we would consider to be a black man or an African man, etc., whatever words you'd like to come up with. But Noah, right, is albino. He's the first case mentioned in our culture, in the Bible, in the scrolls, in the Chronicles of Noah, the book of Jasher. He's the first person mentioned as having some kind of albinoism. In other words, he has deficiency in melanin. He has mineral deficiency that causes him to have melanin deficiency. Right? That's the way that works. So he has mineral deficiency that causes him to have melanin deficiency. He's the first one in his family that this has happened to. We know that he is the first one because of this. He is the first one to deal with this because his parents, when you go read the scrolls, you'll discover that his parents freak out. Lamech, his father, freaks out and goes to his father, Methuselah. Lamech goes to Noah's grandfather, Methuselah. Methuselah, once again, his name means what? The arrow that hits the target. He's looking to hit a target. So what target is he going to hit? Well, Lamech goes to him and he says, look at Noah, what should we do with this? They're afraid. They're like, we don't even know how to raise this. And raise this, they don't even really talk about him as a him. They like kind of look at him as a it. And by the way, when you even go to certain African nations to this day, that still happens. To where we have to be careful because there's some of our people who will actually discard babies because they have lack of melanin, because they look different. They don't consider them to be of their branch. They don't consider them to be of their family, of their group. They don't consider them to be of their kingdom. They don't consider them to be alive. Right? So we have to be careful with that because that almost happened with Noah. But guess what Noah's grandfather, guess what Methuselah says? When they say, what should we do with them? Methuselah basically says, love him. Right? That's basically what he says, like raise him, love him. What you mean? What are we going to do with them? But also Methuselah is the arrow that hits the target. See, also, not only does he say love him, which saves Noah. How you doing, Minister Birchie? All right, glad you made it back safe. Not only does he say love him, right, in essence, but then he also loves him when his father doesn't and teaches him the way and makes sure that he preaches the word and has him preach a word and has him get in touch with Yehovah, right? They didn't know his name back then, they would have said Elohim. Has him get in touch with Elohim, right? To the point to where it will be Noah who will preach the word with Methuselah. We don't know this because if you only read in Genesis. But it is Noah and Methuselah that preach the word. And Methuselah then passes away before the flood, so he doesn't have to see it. But it will be Noah and Methuselah together that preach the word, and Noah will preach more and more, and as he gets younger, or as he gets more into his prime, and Methuselah becomes older, it will become more Noah, and even less person. So look at this, in 4 generations, you can say 3 generations of preaching, because Lamech never preached, but in 4 generations, we went from everybody loved Enoch as the king of the earth because he spoke the word of Yah. But then come to find out when Methuselah preached the word, they didn't really like the word, they just loved Enoch. Then we go from a place to where Lamech, the son of the king of the earth that now has been taken off the throne in man's eye because they could care less about him because they only still like Enoch. Now all of a sudden Methuselah, is not even listened to the point to where his own son Lamech won't listen to him. But then here comes Noah. Noah was the target. Noah was the one that was going to take us into what Yahweh has for us. He was the one that was going to allow our family to keep existing. And that's what Noah did, right? Noah has 3 sons. Japheth is the elder. His name actually speaks to the enlarging of territory, which is why a lot of persons that come out of Japheth, who also would have had this melanin deficiency, right? A lot of them that come out of him, right, act a certain way when it comes to enlarging territory, right? Yavat, or Japheth, his name actually refers to enlarging territory. So when you look at this conquering spirit, and you need to be more than conquerors, in its essence, you got to be more than Japheth, or at least what many persons of Japheth still are trying to do to this day. We'll get into the sons' names and stuff a little bit more in the series, a little later in the series, right? And how you doing? Is it Sculling 17? Thanks for being part of the community, right? So you have Noah, the birth of Japheth, and after that you're going to see Shem, right? Shem, who is going to ensure that's where we're going to come out of, what Israel is going to come out of, right? And also too, you can see the second usurping the authority, just like Jacob, right, did over Esau. And then you have the third son, Ham, who many of you would just represent as Africa. But before we get into all that, that's another part of the series. Maybe we'll deal with that Thursday. Maybe we shall not. We shall see what Yahweh does with that for us. With that being said, we've got to recognize, you know, how Yah is moving and what he is doing and what's happening for us. And by the way, I just realized, right? Hold on Sunday is our next. Sunday is going to be our next Q&A session. Sunday the 28th. So if you want to be ready for that, please, man, please, sir, feel free to come out and have your questions ready for Sunday the 28th. Praise Yah. All right. So in all these different things that are going on, we must recognize, we must realize, we must understand that there's a lot of stuff moving here, right? But through all this, today we're focused on the fact that Noah preached. No matter what's going on, Noah preached. And he preached the message that was supposed to ensure that everybody would have an opportunity to be able to make it, just as we are supposed to do to this day. And how often did Noah preach? According to the word, according to Joshua chapter 5, Noah preached every single day. However, in verse 10, it says something very specific as well. It says something peculiar as well. Noah preached every day, but in Joshua chapter 5, verse 10, it makes it a point to say that although Noah and Methuselah preached every day, the sons of men would not hearken to them, nor incline their ears. That means lean in and listen to them. They would not incline their ear to the words. And they were stiff-necked. If you're stiff-necked, you can't move your neck. You're too proud. So if I'm listening, if I can't really hear you, if I need to lean in, I'm really intently trying to listen, correct? But if I'm just staying, if I'm stiff-necked, it means that I can't bring myself to listen. I can't bring myself to come out of my comfort zone. I can't bring myself to come out of a pompous position and I must be in charge and this and that, and I must be the king and I must be the one that you worship. No, sometimes I need to humble yourself. You know, if your child is trying to speak to you and your child's being shy, and a lot of times we just go, speak up. And I do it sometimes because I get it. As a child, I became somebody who was very shy. I became somebody who was very difficult to even comprehend. I still sometimes, believe it or not, when I'm not in a situation like this, I still sometimes can be hard to hear a couple times and have to speak up, right? But I've learned that, you know, even with children, if your children speak, and sometimes it's okay, instead of saying, speak up, see what you want, sometimes you gotta bend down to where they are. And you have to say, let me hear what you're saying, let me hear on your level. Right? And they might say something because you leaned in. You might get something that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise because you humbled yourself. For wheat and the tear, amen. Matthew chapter 13. This is Matthew chapter 13, starting at verse 13 or something like that, somewhere around there. So today in this series, The Promise of the Rainbow, we are talking specifically and forgive me, the promise of the rainbow. We're talking specifically about Noah preached. And he preached every day. And I'm speaking to you, Noah. 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 Noah preached every day, and person still didn't want to listen. All that stuff happened in the family. All this stuff was going on. Yahweh is trying his best to save as much of humanity as can be saved. But there are many persons who will not listen, who will not incline their ear. Some persons know too much. Some of us know everything. Some of us know everything. And you cannot tell us anything. Some of us are so locked into the truth that they can't receive truth. Some of us will never become righteous, and some of the persons we're looking to be righteous in their eyes will never be that righteousness. But that's why we're not looking for their righteousness, we're looking for Yahweh's righteousness. Right? There's somebody in your family who will never, and I'm sorry to say it this way, right? I pray that I'm wrong about it. However, there's somebody in your family, I'm just gonna be honest, right? I pray that I'm wrong about it, as much as that means that I'm going against Holy Ghost. So I guess I can't pray that I'm wrong about it. How about I wish I was wrong about it? However, there's somebody in your family who will never accept the Yah in you. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because you preach the word. And watch this, you preach it every day. See, somebody can allow it every once in a while, but you got to realize, see, preaching the word, and how much of the word, by the way, is preached. Remember, now they obviously were audibly preaching, but also recall at the same time, Noah is building an ark. So Methuselah and Noah are preaching daily. However, they're also building an ark. That means that my works are going to speak as well. Not every once in a while, but every single day. Every day my works speak for me. How you doing, Sandy Grace? In peace. Every day my work speaks for me. Once again, somebody has a problem with it, you got to go to Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. Because you believe in that. So if you don't believe in works, right, even though faith without works, even though Hebrews 11:6 can't be without Hebrews 11:7, right, even though you can't get rid of Romans chapter 11, verse 1, you can't get rid of Romans chapter 10, verse 1, you can't get rid of Revelation chapter 7, or Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. Y'all say y'all believe that the book of life is real. Remember, there's books before the book of life, and it says before we can see if your name is in the book of life, first things first, we have to see what's on the books concerning your works. And if your works are not correct in the books, then your name cannot be in the book of life. Now we know that you still must have faith, for works without faith has no life, just like faith without works has no life. How you doing, Sister Sylvia? Right? We know you must have faith, but you have to have works. And all this Kendrick Lamar, Drake B, right? That Kendrick Lamar says, I'm looking for the boy, because Drake always calls himself the boy this, the boy that, right? He says, I'm looking for the boy, or he says, you call yourself a boy, but I'm looking for the man because I ain't seen him yet. Right? There's boy works, there's man works. When I was a child, how you doing, Shabbos, by the way? Hopefully I said so earlier, I'm not sure. When I was a child, I thought as a child. I spake as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, what did I do? What does that verse say? What's that? 2 Corinthians? 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians? Forgive me. One of them. Is it 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11, something like that? One of them. Please forgive me. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Right? Yep, that's right. Thank you, Sister Nadine. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Thank you, Kay. Appreciate you. Right? When I became an adult, when I became a man, there's manly works and there's boyish works. And there's something as a man, there's some works it's okay to do as a boy and a man. But there's manly works, there's boyish works. That's why you shouldn't want to date. The Bible doesn't have the works for dating. You know why? Because dating is not lawful. And many of you are going to have a lot of problems because you keep trying to treat your husbands like they're dates. But your husband and you are not called to date. You're not called to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Why would you want to marry a boy? It's perverted when you think about it. But we come from a really perverted place in humanity. Why would one want to be with a boy? Why would one want to be with a girl? Okay, it is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Thank you. Why would one want to be with a boy? Why would one want to be with a girl? I didn't marry a girl. I married my wife. Now, I protect the little girl in her, but she a whole woman. And I'm a whole man, right? And a man has a mission. Right? A man without a mission is a dangerous man. Right? We have a lot of missionless men who are out here trying their hardest to ensure that they can ensnare a girlfriend here or there. For what purpose? For what purpose? Right? Why would you want to have a boyfriend take the plate? Right? Hear what I'm saying? Why would you want a boyfriend to take the place of a husband? Why would you want a girlfriend to take the place of a wife? It's not he who finds a girlfriend finds a Tabah thing. We messed it up. We changed it. We shifted it. The word is there. Once again, the word. We don't respect the word. We respect the Enoch. We respect the person. We respect this figure. We respect the chest. We respect the pecs. We respect the breasts. We respect the credit. We respect how many children they can have. We respect that they got good hair. But the Bible doesn't say he who finds a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And many of you have been trained to be great boyfriends. But I'm here to tell you that the husband's another level. Many of you have been called, or been trained, rather, to be great girlfriends. But I'm telling you, wife is another level. Many of you have been called to be great persons for church pews, to fill in the pews. You know, they're not really concerned about what you do in the church. Many churches outside of come and sit down every Sunday. And if you don't mind, to make us look even better, come and sit down Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, whenever your Bible study night is. How you doing, cutie pie? Right? But the reality is that if we really are concerned about you, then you're going to spend more time in your life. Even some of you who are with us every day, I would still suggest, even some of you who are with us 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day sometimes, I would suggest to you that you you do spend way more time away from us than you do with us. Right? I would say that's an easy statement for me to make. That's an easy statement for us to look at. Right? I would suggest to you you spend way more time away from SOC. And I'm not saying it as a shade. I'm saying that you do. You spend way more time away from our gatherings than you do with us. That being said, right? That means that we got to prepare you to be away from us. Not just to make sure that you look nice and you sit down in your best Sunday, situation or your Sunday best. Right? Many persons have sat in church on Sundays and still don't know what the first word of the Bible is. Many persons have sat on church on Sunday their whole lives and still don't know the true name of the Most High. Many persons have sat on church on Sundays and still don't even realize the difference between New Year's Eve and watch night service. Many persons don't recognize that there's that many churches were built by persons who called themselves Israelites, and built it out of the same things that the ark is made out of, because they believe in the promise. Right? Many persons are not aware of who they are. We have to recognize that there's a lot of foolishness and lasciviousness and craziness that's happened for us in society, and we have not looked at ourselves properly, because once again, as we talked about with that message yesterday, for those who were here last night, that message university, right? Remember, it and anything is talking about, I have to look at the condition of it and the quality of it. So when it's a university, I have to see whose universe are we talking about, or at least whose prism am I looking at the universe through. And there's a lot of issues with where we're getting our information from. There are a lot of issues with where we're getting our information from. Now, you guys know how you doing, Shalom, Sister Joy. You guys know I could care less about the voting stuff, all that. If Kamala makes it, great. Well, if Kamala makes it, if Trump makes it, I could care less. But even look at how crazed persons are where they don't even have much. Like if you wanted to talk about Kamala Harris, talk about the fact that she locks her people up. You want to talk about Kamala Harris, talk about the fact that she hates black persons, but then talks about Wakanda forever. If you want to talk about Kamala Harris, talk about how she basically has like almost a slave plantation vibe at her crib. Like if you want to talk about Kamala Harris, talk about the fact that she doesn't mention the Most High. And if you want to talk about Kamala Harris, talk about how she was a traitor because she said all the stuff about Joe Biden being racist, but then she's not. Like if you want to talk about her, talk about the evil things that she's done, right? But instead, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just trying to show you how it doesn't even take that much, right, for these persons to get messed up and they don't even know what they're doing because their universes look that different. So what are they doing? Right? The way they look at the universe is different than how we look at it. So instead of looking at certain universal principles that should be easy enough for us to be able to show that she is not who she claims to be, she is not who she is, she's not who she says she is, etc. What do? They come out with this stuff now that they've been doing with her, which is what? They come out with this new thing talking about, well, you know what, Kamala's, she doesn't make, what was it that they were saying about? Oh, they came up with a laughing thing, a compilation of her laughing. She laughs too much. Like, are we there at a place to where you can't even make sure that you that you actually dig in on the actual issue? They came out with a thing talking about she laughs too much. That's all you got. That's the best. Look, Kamala, just like Obama, both of them ain't doing nothing for you. They don't work for you, right? But neither does the Republican Party. But if that's the best that you got, it shows that, like, because watch this. Everything they had geared up for, and watch, it's going to change slowly. They're going to have to start saying racist stuff about her because you got a black woman. They're trying their best to not just straight up right now say black woman. Right? That's going to be what they're going to be against. Ultimately, it's going to be against her because she's black and she's a woman. Put the two together, she's going to tear the country apart. Right? Who knows if she wins or not? Once again, it's not going to register on my radar except for being a blip. Oh, okay, somebody's going to be the next person over the corporation. I'm not part of it anyways. Who cares? But if anything, right, you're going to see slowly but surely they're going to go that way to where they're going to have to start basically just being racist. But if that's the best that you got, right? And see, the reason that they only have that is because what? Their whole stuff was set up to do what? And they did really well, but they did too well. They didn't plan it out right. They didn't have a vision. They just were like, we're just going to say Joe Biden's old, and because he's old, he can't do nothing. He's old and he's dumb. We're not even going to talk about his policies. We're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about he's old. We'll talk about his son because we don't like the fact talking about Donald Trump is in jail. We don't like the fact that we talk or in prison or he should be or that his son is messed up or blah, blah, blah. So we're going to make sure that we talk bad about Joe Biden's son. We'll talk bad about Joe Biden being old. And we'll say that his wife is, we'll bash her because she's a woman somehow. That's all they had. So now you get rid of the old white dude. Everything they had set up was for old white dude. You know what I'm saying? That was all they had was old white dude. And so now you don't have old white dude. What you gonna talk about? She laughs too much. Yeah, we vote for the Most High as well, right? Or we don't even vote. I don't vote for the Most High. He's the king. He doesn't need my vote, but I know what you're saying, right? We're saying the same thing. So that's what you're dealing with now. And you're going to deal with the same thing. And you're voting, they're trying to get you to vote for the lesser two evils. Like we said, part evil is still whole evil. Part truth is a whole lie. Like partial truth is a whole lie. And those who are partial to truth, the truth is not in you in the first place. It's like when somebody comes up to you and says, man, to be honest, I'm trying to take that out of I've been doing pretty well. I am trying to take that out of what I say. I say stuff like that quite often because there's only honesty. To be honest with you, hold up. Does that mean that you're not always honest? Right? Well, this time I'm going to tell you the truth. Well, if you don't tell me the truth all the time, then truthfully speaking, do you not always truthfully speak? Somebody comes up to you, honesty is my best policy. No, honesty should be it should be in every policy. It shouldn't be your best, because if it's your best, that means you got first best, second best, third best, fourth best. Man, today, we got to give it to the Most High. Today and no other day. No, every day. Right? And every day Noah preached. Oh, come on, Holy Ghost. Every day Noah preached. Same message. Hey, it's going to rain. It's going to rain because of evil. I'm building the ark. I'm doing this work not just because. I have faith in something that's about to happen before. The Most High has already shown us what to do. He's shown us that we can get out of this. Let's go ahead and get out of this. Just as in the days of Noah, though. Person's going to look at us like we're crazy. Person's going to look at you like you're crazy. How dare you? How dare you say that there's male and female? Because the Bible says it. Oh, you tripping, just as in the days of Noah. What happened with Sodom and Gomorrah? I know that's not in the days of Noah. What happened with Sodom and Gomorrah? What happened with Sodom and Gomorrah? And y'all was good, and Noah was working. He was working overtime. He was trying his best. He was like, "Yeah, please, if you can just give me a few of these Negroes out here. Let them." Can you give me 50? If there be 50 in the whole city, y'all was like, shoot, I can't even find 50 of them, bro. Can you find 40? Man, not even 40. 30? No, I ain't 30. 20? No, I ain't 20. 10. Look, Abraham, you might want to kind of just leave this alone, bro. You're not gonna be able to show me. That's how wicked it is. Well, can you at least, out of my relationship with you, save this boy that's like my son? Can you save Lot and his babies and his wife? As long as they follow instructions, sure. But we're not in a position where we recognize that, where we think about that, where we realize that, where we see that these things keep repeating themselves. And you're going to have to, we were talking about this with one of our members yesterday, right, when we did the Zoom meeting. It's like, how do we, now this ultimately I had misunderstood what she was saying, but I made a point where it was the Holy Ghost led us to say, she was like, how do I understand this or whatever? And I said, it's not for you to understand. Because what does understand means? It means to be under a standard. And persons who aren't under the standard of God, they're not going to act righteous. They shape shift for power. Come on now. Yeah. Right? Persons that are not under a righteous standard, you're not going to understand. You're not supposed to understand evil. That's part of the problem. Like, you're trying to understand. Some of you try to go back. No, to even be empathetic doesn't mean that I am supposed to understand it. I do not understand evil. Somebody says, oh, now you're trying to talk too heavy. You're trying to act like you're all that because you used to do evil. Haven't you sinned before? Yes, I've sinned before, but I'm not under that standard. That used to be a big deal for me to make sure that I fit in with evil. It used to be a big deal in the military, like we talked about that last night, where I was trying to curse and fit in and stuff like that. It didn't even sound right coming out my lips, but I tried. Because I was trying to be under the standard. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to make sure that persons would be like, yo, man, Kofi, cool. Let's go ahead and pull him here. Let's have him come over this house. Let's have him come with us and get drunk. Let's have him do this. And for what? What did it get me? Guess how many of those persons I still hang out with today? I think I'm Facebook friends, something like that, with one of them. Because nowadays, even with Facebook friends, all this stuff that people just want friends. I be cutting friends off if we ain't talking. There's no purpose in you just being in my vicinity just because, or being on my stuff just because, or I see stuff posted by you and we're not going to have no interaction. Like, if it's a waste of time, it's a waste of time. No shade, but like I said last night even, like, my time is valuable. Your time is valuable. If you're going to come on here, thank everybody for being on the podcast, Clapper, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We appreciate you. But if you don't give me your time, I better give you something that's worth your time. I'm not saying I'm a soft shoe for you. I'm not saying I'm going to hit you with the mammy, but I'm just saying, if you're going to be on here, then I should at least give something that gives you, even if it's only a few seconds, at least your few seconds were spent well. Every day, Noah preached. Every day, this is coming up. Every day, I'm building the ark. There's no days off from righteousness. Righteousness means to be in right lawful standing, by the way. That's a simple way of saying righteousness. There's no days off of being in right lawful standing. Every day. You like Kobe Bryant? Guess how much Kobe Bryant shot the basketball? Every day. Matter of fact, multiple times a day. Matter of fact, he had an early workout. He'd get up like 3, 4 in the rising, go to the gym, work out, and lift. He'd get up then again, do a workout around 7 or 8 or so, 7-ish, to make sure he could be home by 8, to make sure he could take his children to school. Then he would go to the gym after that around lunchtime. And then he'd pick up his babies, and then he would go to the gym before the game. And then we'd play, and then after the game, he'll probably do a quick workout again and work to get in the spots. Every day, no days off. I'm not saying he never took one day off. Obviously, he might have taken a couple weeks off here or there. But that's every day. Hey, how you doing, Sister Monica, and everybody who's coming on Clap? Appreciate you. Every day, no days off. I'm working this. I'm working this, period. Every day. I don't get the opportunity to stop. I don't get the opportunity. This is the gift. This is the calling. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what your family's depending on. The ark was built for Noah's family. If he stops building the ark, then his family's not going to make it. I wonder what you're building that you should keep building, and you keep stopping because everybody around you feels like the whole earth is against it. But you know this is for you and your family. It's not for everybody else. Even with the Bible, as it's called, right? It's not for everybody. It's not written to everybody. It's not written about everybody. It's not supposed to be for everyone. Everybody's not supposed to get on board with it, because it's about what? It's about a cultural way of looking at law and case study, a particular people, a particular nation, a peculiar nation, not a familiar nation, but a peculiar nation is supposed to be living a certain way. It's not common sense, that's right, it's kingdom sense. I'm not trying to give something that is sensical to the commoner. I'm not going to treat you like a commoner. Are you royalty or not? Come on, talk back to me a little bit. Are you royalty or not? You see what I'm saying? And if you are royalty, if the answer is yes, if the answer is yes, I am royalty, then why do you want me to keep talking to you like you're a commoner? Why do you want me to keep talking to you like you've been conquered? You are more than a conqueror. Conquering is too small. Some of us are so small-minded to believe that we're supposed to conquer this. I conquer this. I conquer everything. I conquer everybody on the court. I conquer everybody on the pitch. I conquer everybody at work. I conquer everybody with the music. I conquer everybody with this. You're more than that. Because of social media, there might be a date that I have a date and time where I'm going to have to go through and tell everybody and defend myself and defend this and defend decisions I've made and defend stuff that I did even when I was out there sinning and stuff or whatever. Not defend it, but just tell. But at the end of the day, look, there's certain things I don't care about defending. You know why? Because I'm more than a conqueror. What can you say about me when I live a life every day based off of kingdom? What you gonna say about me? How you doing, Sister Dawn? What are you going to be able to say to me when I live every day a life about kingdom? What can you say when my whole life is protected by law? Because law doesn't give rights, law protects rights. English, obviously. Hello, right? But what are you going to say about me? Hey, is that the best you got, Ursi? You're going to have to come a little stronger than that. How you doing, by the way? Much love to you, even though it seems like all you have is ad hominem. But much love to you. You're going to have to do better than that. Love you anyways. Appreciate you. Right? You're gonna have to get to this place to where you realize that if I'm dealing with something that is supposed to be perfection, who cares about if you don't like, if it ends up being correction? A lot of persons gonna hate you. Ursi, if you don't come up with something better, I mean, it's not even clever, bro. I'm assuming, bro. It's not even clever. You gotta do better. I just said, like, watch this. Here's a perfect example. So Ursi on here, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Clapper, Ursi, whoever this person is, now they got off because they probably know I'm about to come at him, decided to keep saying, oh, you're gay. He's like, first person to move is gay. Now that's a boy, right? Hopefully not married to somebody, because that'd be a terrible person to be with who's that immature, right? The old Kofi would have probably been really upset, offended, this, that, or whatever. I'm not offended because, first of all, I'm not gay, right? I mean, I'm gay because I'm happy. My life is great, but I'm not what he's trying to say that I am. That being said, what does it have to do with the word? And what would it benefit me to go through all this stuff? Every day my life shows who I am, right? So if somebody who doesn't have the ability within themselves to literally do some research or see who I am, or cares enough about my humanity to see who I am, would say something that's attacking, why would I care, right? I'm saying that, I'm done talking about Ursi, but I'm saying that, right, to make it a point to show you guys that when you're dealing with this stuff, right, when you're dealing with these things, when you're dealing with these items, you need to recognize very quickly, when you're dealing with this stuff, you have to realize that, I'm trying to make sure that they're removed and blocked, excuse me. So when you're dealing with these items, you have to deal with the fact that you have a lot of persons who are, you're dealing with a lot of persons who will try to attack who you are, right? But let your life preach, and let your word, the words that Yah gives you, preach for you, correct? Let your life preach, and let the words that Yahweh has given you preach for you. How you doing, C. Taylor? And thank you for the love. How you doing, 1720? Right? So, you hear what I'm saying? Let your life. See, Noah is preaching every day. Methuselah is preaching with him every day. But Noah is also building it on the ark simultaneously. Once again, Noah is preaching every day. Right? Methuselah is preaching every day, but the ark is being built. And the ark is being built simultaneously. We're not just, it's not just preach, preach, preach. Manifestation is coming. Right? Let your works preach for you. Let your words, or let the words of Yah preach for you. Right? Let your faith preach for you. Let your works preach for you. Noah preached every day. And one of the things that's missing for us is that we forget the works have to be there. They have to be consistent. May I ask you just a question? You don't have to answer in front of everybody if you would not like. This is just a question. You can look at this as a question that's just, you can look at this just something for you to do a think tank exercise within yourself. Family, are you consistent? If you say, I'm going to do this for SOC tomorrow, will you do it? Watch this. And look, I got to raise my hand. I know I got to improve as well. Right? But if you say you're going to do something for SOC and you know it's going to take 5 weeks, if you get sick, will you do it anyways? If you don't want to take SOC out the equation, fine. If you tell your daughter you're going to do something for the next 2 months, will you do it for the next 2 months, even if you get sick for three weeks? And in the 3 weeks, will you give up on doing it and say, I can't do it, I can't move? Fine, you got to take a day off here, a day off there. But will you do it? If you say that Yah has given you a business, you know exactly what the business is, you know when you're supposed to start. Question, will you start it? And will you execute, and will you make sure that the due date that the Most High tells you? Sometimes he doesn't give you a due date, true, sure enough. But if he gives you a due date, will you continue to do what you're supposed to do up until or up through it? See, Noah preached every day while manifestation was happening. When Yah gives you a vision, he's giving you a vision. Have faith in it, but then what happens is works need to happen so that manifestation will come. Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Everybody likes to talk about it. It says, now faith is the substance of things and the evidence of things. Now faith is of things and the evidence of things. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of the unseen. How you doing, Minister Tamara? right? At some point, what I hope in, my hope is built on nothing less than Yahushua's blood and righteousness. On Yahushua, the solid rock I stand, on other ground is sinking sand. So my hope is excellent, but at some point, my hope, what I hope in, becomes what I have faith in. Faith is saying that I believe in what I hope in. See, my hope is one thing. Many persons lose their lives or even give up on life because they lose hope. Hope is important, right? Now, you got to hope in the righteous thing. However, hope is important. That being said, though, hope is where your faith comes from. If I hope in what Yah has given me, then that means I believe in what Yah has given. See, it's different. Can we just do this real quick? Many of you hope, right? Hope just means, I wish it would happen. I really wish it would happen. I really wish it would. Whatever you really wish would happen is what you begin to have faith in. Now, here's the negative part of it. You might not believe this, but you can hope in negativity. Because hope is, I really wish I would stop having problems with the bills. I really wish I would, but I can't. I'll never stop having problems in the bills. You see that? And then you start having faith that it will. You can have hope. I hope that my marriage will make it. I hope that my marriage will make it. I just hope that I was just hoping that something great would come out of marriage. When that hope changes, now watch this. I was just hoping something would come great out of marriage, but I guess it never will. Now your faith is in, I guess it never will. Did you catch the difference? Did you see that? Come on, Minister Tamara, he supplies all I need, right? Did you see the difference? Did you catch that? I hope that I have a great marriage, right? If you can stay in that hope, your faith will begin to be in that, and then your manifestation comes when you start to do the works to get to what you have faith in because you have hope in it. But when your hope changes and it goes from, I hope that I was just hoping for happiness. Well, where's faith going to go? What makes me happy? Where's your marriage going to go? Where your work's going to go? Where's your manifestation going to go? Oh, come on, Sister Mignon. Keep hope alive. Hallelujah. That's a shirt right there. That's a book right there, for real, for real. Keep hope alive. My hope is built on nothing less. That's why that songwriter wrote that. In that red hymnal back in the day, some of y'all got the brown hymnal that's in, some of y'all got the green hymnal that's in, right? My hope is built on nothing less than Yahushua's blood and righteousness. What is that? Rock of ages, cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. Let the waters and the blood from that wounded side flow. Yeah, whatever. I don't know what the name of the song. I think it's called, is it called Rock of Ages, whatever that is, right? My hope is going to be where my faith goes. My faith is going to be where my works go. My works is going to be where my manifestation goes, right? Hope gives birth to faith. Faith gives birth to works. Works give faith or birth to manifestation. Mind over matter. Come on. Because all this physical stuff that you think is matter, your mind governs what manifests into the matter. Therefore, it's mind over matter. Basically, your mind or your spirit will be the one through your soul that helps to manifest what matters. You said you're sabotaging yourself. Works. You have to do your part. Work. Yeah. And that even helps you, by the way, because watch this. I say this all the time, and I try to be careful with this because I've been somebody who, first of all, I believe that depression is a real situation. Some people act like depression's fake. I believe depression is real. I've told you guys I've been labeled as clinically depressed before. I do not run away from that being a part of my life at one point. That being said, I know that the difference between somebody that's depressed and that they're not is the person that's depressed literally is somebody who stopped pressing. That's what depressed is. If you are in depression, or if you have depression, or if you are depression, because depression is a noun, person, place, a thing. So if you have it, or if you are it, you have simply taken your foot off the gas. And I tell persons this a lot, and they don't believe me. Look, even when I'm really sad, there's times that you guys don't know how sad I might actually be. There's times you might not know how much I'm really struggling. There's times where you guys are going through something, and some of you don't even know that I know what you're going through, or some of you don't know that I know some of the stuff some of our persons have been going through for years. Right? I mean, sisters that are getting beat up, brothers that are being cheated on. Brothers that are giving their money towards other groups and stuff, and then those other groups take their stuff, and now they can't pay their bills. Children who I can hear when I've talked to them as teenagers, or even sometimes done certain things that were just for children, and I can hear their family members in the background yelling at each other, and they have to mute it, and then when they come on and try to speak, they come on and try to speak real quick, and then they try to get right back off because you can hear the yelling, but they want to be part of what's going on. A young sister who's going through a lot of stuff spiritually, and her parents, her mother, her stepmother, and her father seem to have kind of like put her on the outskirts, and she's very frustrated about it, and she's acting out, and nobody will hear her out. Right? There's a lot of stuff, right, that will cause me, right? But guess what? I've learned to do is continue the work. You hear what I'm saying? Like, even though there's a lot going on, keep pressing. You know that old saying, there's a blessing in the pressing. Like, keep pressing. Keep pressing. You don't stop. Because when you stop pressing, that's when you get what? Depressed. And you become stagnant. This is natural law, by the way. This is universal law. This is kingdom law. If there's water and it stops flowing, I don't care if it's the cleanest water from Jamaica, if you put it in a certain spot and it doesn't flow, it doesn't move, there's not new water that's going to come and it becomes stagnant, I don't care how clean it is, you don't drink it. Because it was clean when it got there, but when it never flowed, when it never moved, it became stagnant. It started off great because it flowed there. It was clean. It was pure. Even the resource, even the minerals there, that's awesome. But if it doesn't move, don't drink it. Seriously. If it's not going to move, do not drink it. I'm careful even with this. Sometimes I even smell these because this has not moved in a long time. Now they've taken out, unfortunately, some of the minerals that were there. It has a lot of minerals in it, but it's not straight up mineral. If we were really drinking, you can tell the difference between straight up mineral water, like this actually from, a real, like this is from a spring. But, if you had actual, like, straight up, like, they don't clean it, blah, blah, all this stuff, and you have, like, there's a difference between that type of water and any other thing you drink. Right? But the water's got to keep moving. It's called currency. This is why the richest persons on earth, they don't keep money. They don't have a lot of savings accounts. Some of them have 0 savings accounts. You've been taught to have a savings account, thinking that was going to help you, but it actually makes your money stagnant. You're supposed to spend it. Now, you're supposed to spend it to get real things because money is not real, but however, the principle is still the same. You take the money and you spend it because it's currency. You don't get money to keep it. Right? That's a lie from the pit of hell. That's a lie from the pit of hell. You don't get money to keep it. I know you think, I'm supposed to have money and just keep it. No, that's why I even remember there was a man with 5 talents. He took it and spent it and got twice as much back. There was a man with 2 talents. He took it and spent it and got twice as much back. There was a man with 1 talent, and he was afraid of what might happen if he didn't spend it correctly, so he hid it. He came back with the same amount of money, and what did the master say? The master said, you wicked and slothful, you wicked and lazy servant. I will take your talent and give it to somebody else. Why? Because he said, from what I taught you, you could have at least gotten something off interest of it. Put it in an account and got some interest, but you were afraid to spend it. So, and what happens with those who have a slave mentality, and we come from persons who have slave mentalities, we've been taught the more money I have saved up, the better I'm doing. Now, look, I'm not saying you can never save up money, right? I'm not ever saying you should never save up anything. I'm not saying, but I'm telling you, the richest persons, go look at how their money flows. They don't walk around with savings accounts, right? Look up, I don't care if you like these persons or not, look up Elon Musk. Elon Musk does not have like typical bank account. He's not walking around with a bunch of money in his checking. I mean, a bunch relatively to what you might think he would have, right? But that's not his thing. He has stock options. He has this business. He has that business. So when he goes into the bank, he says, look, you know what time it is. You know, I have this. That's real. That's business. You know, I have this. That's land. You know, I have this. So just give me a bunch of money, and then I'll make sure that I pay you back for it. That's all he does. And he says, oh, and give me a small interest because even with you only getting a small interest from me, I'm going to give you way more money than anybody else can because I control a bunch of stuff. That's how he rolls. He's not looking to make sure that everything there. He just says, hey, give me what I want because you know I own this. He makes power moves. Right? Chinese community, Washington, D.C. You go to Chinatown. Chinatown, huge part of what happened in Washington, D.C. They own a lot of stuff in Washington, D.C. The Jewish community right next to them own a lot of stuff in Washington, D.C. And you'd be like, man, they must vote all this. Why would they need to vote? They don't need to vote. When you got control over stuff, you meet with the mayor and you say, Mayor, this is what you're going to do. Whoever's running for mayor, you tell them, this is what you're going to do. When you become mayor, you're going to do this for us. Why? Because we own this. Right? And I haven't been D.C., downtown D.C. for a minute. It was actually pretty close to going this last couple of weekends. I couldn't make something happen. But, you know, we were in Northeast D.C. We didn't make it downtown. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to what it was as far as this. You know, you go down there, they're going to have a couple Starbucks. Guess what? They're going to have Chinese writing over them. Why? Because it's Chinatown. This is what we own. You go to the movie theater, you're going to see Chinese writing over it. Why? Because this is what we own. You go to the Thai restaurant. Thai restaurant better put some Chinese stuff up there. Why? Because this is what we own. I know they got rid of the store that used to be on the bottom escalator when you went underneath the where the Wizards play. But you used to have a big store down there. When you went down there, Chinese writing. You go to certain places, all Chinatown. You go to the corner stores, they're all going to be Chinese. They're not going to be any black, white, American, whatever, Spanish, Latina corner stores over there. Everything going to be Chinese. Why? Because we own it. So if you become the mayor over here, and you're going to deal with any downtown D.C. stuff, by the way, that means Smithsonian. Y'all got to holler at us too. Because anybody coming to visit y'all stuff is way too expensive, so they got to come where we have all the restaurants. All the restaurants are where we own. If they come into a lot of hotels, they want some of the biggest and baddest hotels, they got to come to where we own. Some of the persons that are going to be paying for apartments is that they got to come to the apartment buildings we own. That's how it works. So if you want to go ahead and make up any kind of decree, if you want to write any kind of paperwork, if you want anything to be voted on, you got to holler at us first. How you doing, Sister Jonah? This is how they operate. Right? We are told that we're supposed to have all this money. They say, no, we use money to make sure that we have what's real. Warren Buffett was asked if you had the choice between being given money or land and property, which one would you know? So if you had a chance, land and business. So if you had a chance to have land and business, or somebody would give you money that equates to it, which one would you take? He said, I'll take land and business every time, because business makes money and land makes money. If I got land, I can eat my own food. If I have land, I can build my own home. If I have land, I can have you have to rent out, a space on the land to do your business. Right? If I have land, I'll take land every day. Uh-oh. We lost y'all on TikTok for a second and had y'all pause. That's why I'm trying to get this fan over here for y'all. I'm sorry for the extra noise. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like Warren Buffett, the person you're saying you think he would take money. No, he don't want no money. Because money's not real. Money, look, if somebody today gave you 45 acres of land, guess what would happen as soon as they gave you the 45? If somebody gave you 45 acres of land, you could sell right now 2 of those acres. As crazy as people be acting nowadays, you could probably sell 2 acres for like $100,000. Especially depending on where you are. You've just made 6 figures in 1 year. Build yourself a home. Right? Build yourself a home. Start planting food. Right? And then take some of the land that's there and start asking, hey, would anybody like to be somebody who can build on the land? You can have a business on the land, but you still have to pay me rent. Start taking the money they give you, start building places for people to stay at. You literally could, like land makes money. Money doesn't make land, though. You see what I'm saying? Money might buy land, depending. But if without money, somebody could trade for land. With a relationship, somebody could get land. With prayer, somebody could get land. With knowing the right person and being in somebody's will, you can get land. We've been taught that money is king. But who is our king? And when did he tell you? Now look, there's a lot of scripture on how to use money. But when did your king ever tell you to put your faith in money? Yeah, we all need it. But when did the Most High say put your faith in it? This is how they get you to get into 401ks, and then you try to get your 401k out, and you can only get 40%. But land is real. Watch this. Didn't we just talk about this? Inflation. Inflation is not even real. Because inflation, the mindset of inflation says this. Inflation says, keep on spending $1, right? But the dollar is not worth $1 anymore. But we're going to say that the price of everything else, we're going to say that things are still of the same value. But we're going to say the dollar is not enough, so you need to pay $5 for something that costs you $1. Right, but that means that it's 20 cents. Why not just pay 20 cents? No, because money's inflated. Well, what's inflated? No, you don't understand the price of it's inflated because it's under more demand. But what are you talking about? Is the supply different? Because doesn't supply affect demand? Is it less people that want homes now? Is it more people that want homes? So how does the home inflate? Is it more families want homes than ever? Doesn't everybody always want homes? Doesn't everybody like houses? Wouldn't everybody like to be on their own land? No, you got to understand inflation and blah, blah. What is inflation, though? The only reason there's inflation is because there's no gold standard. Understand? The only reason why there's no gold standard is because there's inflation because there's no gold standard. 2% inflation, and now they took off this. They allowed for a soft cap. Right? They used to have a hard cap on it, now they allow for a soft cap. So it used to be you could only have 2% inflation a year, which is crazy. Then it was like, okay, we'll let you do 6% inflation, but you just have to have a bunch of penalties for it. But now with the soft cap, the way the cap works, you can inflate anything to whatever you want, just about. I'm just saying. Inflation doesn't make sense. Somebody says, "Oh yeah, it does because of the stock market." No. If bread costs 50 cents, then bread costs 50 cents. No, you don't understand in this country because of this. It takes so much to get bread and blah blah whatever. No, the bread is still 50 cents. Now, if you're saying that I got to pay for shipping and handling and stuff like that, okay, we got a conversation about it. But you can't tell me that bread is more expensive. Is yeast more expensive in one type of bread than it is in the other? Are you using the same yeast? Is barley still the same amount? Whether it's barley in Mexico or barley in Italy? The only reason why there's inflation is because somebody gave you a concept. You're inflated in your mind. But who's preaching like Noah did every day? Who's giving us a word? Who's being there saying, hey, reminder, this is, forgive my language, this is BS. It's bull, you know what. Right? Like bread doesn't cost more than it. Well, you know, back in the day, that used to be a penny. Why is it still not a penny? Matter of fact, how is it not a penny when the penny is not even a penny anymore? You know, they use less copper to make pennies. They use less nickel to make nickels. You hear what I'm saying? Like there's less copper in the penny, which means the penny is not worth a penny. But somehow they told you that what's not even worth a penny has somehow inflated to where it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 times what it was. And nobody's saying this stuff. Now watch this. Take it to the spirit. Take it to the promise. Our time is almost up. Take it to the promise. Amen. I hear you, Holy Ghost. She said, take it to the promise. All right. Look. How is it that the word of Yah has been inflated so much that it doesn't even sound like what it used to be? How is it that sin or homosexuality has been inflated so much that we don't even know what the rainbow is anymore? We're afraid to wear the rainbow. Come on. How is it that, what did we say, 1976, I believe, is when the whole pink Jesus thing started, where pink was put above the rainbow? Pink Jesus worshipped in the White House by President Obama in that picture that we showed you guys a little while ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Yeah, it's become so normalized and righteousness is so trivialized. How is things inflated? Does it make sense? When did the rainbow stop being the rainbow? When did it stop being Avanavan? When did it stop being the bow in the cloud? When did it stop being the token of a covenant that we're supposed to be in with the Most High? When did the Most High promises stop being what they're supposed to be? How you doing, Sister Trina? When is it that males were no longer required to be males and females were no longer required to be females? When did it become that you have a mental health issue because you want to be in a relationship with a female if you're a male? And if you're not attracted to a male who says he wants to become a female, now you are somebody who supposedly is, what is it that they call us now? They call us males, they call us men, they call us, if we're transphobic because I don't want to be in a relationship sexually with a trans woman. You know, that's what they do you with now. They hit you with that now. If you don't want to be in a relationship with them, then something's wrong with you. You have transphobia. You're afraid of somebody transitioning because you don't want to lay down with them. You know how many of your children they're trying to raise? They already told you they're coming for your children. You know how many of your children they're trying to raise off of that? It doesn't even make sense. They're the person that say if somebody wants to be trans, support it. But then they say if you want to be male and be attracted as they would call cis, right? CIS. But if you want to be, and by the way, think about the cis. To be a cis or cis-y at one point was something different. Now to be cis male is something that you should look at, but it also was a bad thing. It's like you have to identify as like you're just one of the letters. No, like I'm male. I'm what Yah created. I'm Adam. I'm Adam. But if I dress myself as such and walk in righteousness, the world looks at it and twisted. The inflation of something that has no value is astounding. When he says, ain't nobody afraid of wickedness, if you have it before me, what can man do to me? Come on. Right? You 100% real woman, come on, I hear you. Right? But I'm just saying, think about this. How everything's flipped on its head. Right? And we have to realize that we're going to have to keep preaching this, because as much as we think some of this stuff is simple, we think this is just everybody does this. What is kingdom sense is not common sense. And they're going to keep trying to say stuff to your children. They're going to say stuff to you. They're trying to hit certain notes. They'll say stuff to you like, well, you as a black person, you understand what it is to be marginalized. Why would you allow another group of persons to be marginalized? Time out. I don't even have the power as a black person to marginalize anybody. See, they try to get us in these conversations where you as an African American man should comprehend what it is. And Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had to say, stop. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was asking for you to treat him with respect as a man and say that just because he was black didn't mean that he deserved to be hung from a tree. Well, that's what we're saying about the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, in the LGBTQ plus community, if somebody is black and somebody's white and the police show up, will the police treat the black person worse or will they treat the white person worse? And if you say, oh, so you're trying to put all police, fine. Let's say the heavier percentage of the time. If they have been told somebody committed a crime and they see somebody white, they see somebody black, and they know they're LGBTQ plus, or they don't know they're LGBTQ plus, statistics show us that they're coming after the person that's black. Even if the police officer is black, because the culture that he's upholding is not his own. So this whole LGBTQ plus thing doesn't even make sense as far as you trying to say we're in the same ballpark. Because I know what it is. I've seen the sisters who dress up like men and still get treated like terrible persons. I've seen the brothers that try to go all the way out and be as soft as they need to be and do all this stuff or whatever, be effeminate, and still be mistreated. That was the trick of the trade. You remember Ray Charles had slick hair, Chuck Berry had slick hair, slick back hair. Mama Thornton, she had hair that was supposed to be white hair. They tried to get good hair. Put that relaxer and stuff in there. You had that stuff that was burning your head up. Right? Malcolm X, he was red out there. When he was red, he had the hair. So, matter of fact, he was red. He was Detroit red, and Red Fox was he was Detroit. Hold on, one of them was Detroit red, and one of them was something else red. When he became Red Fox, Malcolm X and Red Fox, they grew up together, basically. Not grew up as children, but they hung out together. Right? That was for them to make sure that they fit in, but also you were supposed to be effeminate too. You were supposed to be pretty. This is why all those persons did that stuff. This is why Prince would become super effeminate. This is why they wore the stuff that they wore with Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is why that bass player, Earth, Wind, and Fire, looked crazy, even crazier today. But he looked crazy out there. Go look at that bass player. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the bass player from Earth, Wind, and Fire. I always forget his name. He could play, right? And he probably was getting all the girls, but you were supposed to get all the girls because you look pretty. You look like a woman. You weren't supposed to be a threat. You can go into white establishments and play because you weren't a threat. You're supposed to be effeminate. You're supposed to be showing stuff. You're supposed to be showing your genitalia. You're supposed to show. I'm just saying, this is an attack. And nobody will preach about it. Nobody will talk about it. When anybody touches this conversation, thank you. It was Chicago Red. Thank you. Red Fox was Chicago Red. And I hope I have that right. Wasn't Red Fox Chicago Red and Malcolm X was Detroit Red? Or flip it, either way. But that's where they got those nicknames from. They used to hang out with each other. They both were redheads, and they both slicked their hair to make sure they didn't look so Negro. Right? You said there's a difference between being judged for your decisions and being judged for what you are. Most definitely. And by the way, well, yeah, I'll leave that there. I think that's said well, right? Without me making it a little more confusing. Right? But I'm just saying, and all these different things that are there, nobody talks about these things, but it says Noah, he preached it every day, and then he built an ark, he built a place, he built a facility for us to be inside of. He built a place for those who wanted to be safe, right? The name, the authority, the Sham of Yahweh, Adon, is a strong tower. The righteous, those in right lawful standing, they run in and they are safe. And we know that letter F and letter V are interchangeable. Right, but we're not supposed to build places of righteousness. We're not to speak on it. And any Noah that builds a place for his people, for his family, they're trying to take them out. And I can see even in that, it becomes an issue. It becomes hard. Some of the stuff that I wear, right? I wear stuff on it that is offensive to certain persons because it tells the truth on it. Right? That Black Panther shirt you saw, offensive to many. And it has a whole bunch of writing on the back that actually tells the story of who the Black Panthers are, right? No shade. I wear it. Y'all see me wear it anyways. I wear it faithfully. I wear it proudly. I'll continue to wear it when you have when Hakodash commands me to. All Jew know ish stuff. Persons look at it. All Jew know ish. What you trying to say? I'm trying to say exactly what it said. I get it. Yeah, we always at war. I get it. And it's hard because being yourself is war. Look, you. All right, you must recognize. You got to recognize. I don't know if everybody catches this or not, but you must recognize. Hear this now. You got to realize that many persons, not some, many persons, believe in the Western world. Correct? Is that? Can we just say they believe that if it wasn't for the things of the Western world, if it wasn't for, when they say modern medicine, they mean Western medicine. When they say Western, by the way, they mean imperial, the ones who ruled over you, right? They believe in Western courtrooms. They believe in Western ideology. They believe that natives were savages, not even knowing that savage or savage literally is another word of saying wild. So if you are a native in your natural place, if you're indigenous in your natural place where you come from, if you're indigenous Israelite, if you are an indigenous whatever, right? If you come to naturally your natural being, and you are who you are supposed to be, you are dangerous to the system because the West is supposed to make sure that the white man's burden reigns supreme, that the doctrine of discovery reigns supreme, that the lost cause rhetoric reigns supreme, that evolution reigns supreme. It is what it is. That manifest destiny reigns supreme. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we talked about that faux piece in the biscuit before, right? The doctrine of discovery literally is what the law was put in place to make sure that if you were not a white Roman Catholic, that you could, right? If there was no white Roman Catholic on your land, you were not considered to be human, and your land could be taken over, right? The white man's burden is literally an edict that basically says that everything that is around the earth must look like the white man, whatever that is. Because we talked about before, white's not even really a color, but it is what it is, right? Y'all know what I mean, right? Then you have stuff like the lost cause. What's the lost cause? Oh, we lost the Civil War, but hey, the South shall rise again. Hey, we didn't fight for slaves' rights. We fought for the rights of states. But the states, when you look at why they seceded, was because they were trying to take away chattel slavery. But then the North kept chattel slavery, right? They just said that you have to arrest somebody first, but the South still wasn't cool with that. That's what South shall rise again. This is what Trump thing is. It's not just the South, but those in the North still fighting for chattel slavery, wanting to be more open and go back to the days of when America was great again, right? Then you have Manifest Destiny. Manifest Destiny, even something that Rudyard Kipling, the writer of the Jungle Book, was into and wrote a whole poem about it. And Teddy Roosevelt used it to be able to spread Manifest Destiny in the minds and the hearts of many to ensure that persons realized that it was the job of the white man to make sure that his whiteness was manifest. It was the white man's destiny to manifest these things across North America and really across the world. Right? And then you have evolution. We talked about that yesterday. What is Charles Darwin's famous book actually called? It is called The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. And if you didn't catch that, it's natural selection is looked at as how do we preserve favored races as we all struggle for life. In other words, if we're favored, we're white. And how does a white man ensure that in the struggle for life, he continues in natural selection? If you are under Western mindset, if you are under Western governance, if you're under Western thought process, if you're under Western voting, if you're under Western theology, if you're under Christian nationalism, if you're under these things of the West, then you have to recognize this is what you're into. This is what this was built on. So watch this. My locks are criminal. Somebody said, no, they let you walk around with your locks. See how they even say they let you. No. What I mean is you get to walk around with your locks, your dreads. See how they dread your hair? No. See what I'm saying? No. Your locks, they're beautiful, this and that, but if you work for a corporation, well, why can't I have my hair in a corporation, but he can have long hair? No. What I'm trying to say is, okay, ultimately the reason why my locks are criminal is because they never took away laws and never took laws off the books. Right? And so basically my locks are criminal to the point to where there are guys who try to wrestle and they cut their locks off if they want to keep wrestling. There are girls that try to play soccer and they don't let them play soccer because their black hair is flapping around too much and they don't want to see that, right? Anything that reminds them that you might have some kind of freedom. This is why you, as a slave, were never allowed to have long hair. Frederick Douglass, when he grew the fro, that was something that you would have never seen. When he was on the slave plantation, literally fighting some of the overseers, he couldn't have long hair, but he grew the fro as soon as he had a chance to because it was a sign, it was a symbol, it was something personal to him that, hey, I'm allowed to do whatever I want with this. That's why he grew the fro. For him, he had some semblance of freedom, even though he had to run away to Scotland and to Ireland. But he had some semblance of freedom. This is why the copper colored, now it's green because they didn't keep it up, but this is why the copper colored Statue of Liberty wasn't allowed to show you chains and wasn't really allowed to show you what her hair actually looks like. You ever notice that in the Statue of Liberty? If you look at the Statue of Liberty, you know, you can find that there's chains on it. There were supposed to be chains all around it, but the persons who were in charge, they didn't want you to see that. But then also, too, her hair doesn't really show. You ever notice that? You ever looked at Statue of Liberty's hair? Anybody ever been to Statue of Liberty and thought to yourself, as a child, I'd be thinking about where my mind races a mile a minute. And I remember thinking to myself, like, her hair doesn't really, like, what is that hairstyle? Young child, I don't know why I thought about it. Right? But when you look at her hair, something interesting about her hair, huh? If you ever get a chance, look at Statue of Liberty's hair. It's not white people hair, unquote. Some people even say it might be a little wavy. Some person say it's a little design. Some people say it looks like it might even be mini locks. Because remember, she's copper colored. Now she's not copper colored like copper colored doesn't necessarily mean the deepest recesses of Africa. I'm not doing that. Because black is not a monolith. I get that. But her hair is not normal. And she got chains on, but you can barely see the chains. You can really only see you can barely see the chains from a certain angle when you're looking up. You have to fly in a helicopter to see the chains from up top. And other nations know, for sure. Right? But I'm just saying all this stuff, like nobody tells us these things. Noah had to preach the truth every day. Noah had to keep preaching about the righteousness. Noah had to keep preaching, come out of the world. Noah had to keep preaching, you're not what the world says you are. Noah had to keep preaching, it's okay to be Seth and not be Cain. Noah had to keep preaching, hey, we're supposed to be in enmity with the things of Yah. Noah keep preaching the law because the Bible says that Noah and his family, I believe it's Romans chapter 8 verse 1, says the reason why Noah and his family were able to get onto the ark is because of their righteousness. But also, too, he kept building. Right? We'll probably get into that tomorrow. Matter of fact, we'll get into that tomorrow. But never forget that he kept building. And so the question has become, what are you building? What are we going to build that's going to allow our family to be able to make it through when Yahashua comes back? We're looking up at the promise, or we're looking at the token every day. We're looking at the bow in the cloud every day. After all this rain, every day we look up. We got to build this ark. We got to build this huge basket that you can put all types of stuff in. We got to make sure there's pitch, that it's watertight. We got to make sure there's a window, a place where we can only focus and look up. Only one window. We got to make sure the window is nice and thick. It's going to take a lot of time to make. Right? We got to make sure that there's a door on the side, a place of access for those who are holy and for what Yah has for us. But it's a place that's going to shut us off from everyone else. You know, like you have the drawbridge that goes over the moats. The drawbridge is basically just a door, right? That's all the drawbridge is, it's the door. You put the door down, you put the drawbridge down, it gets you over the moat. Everybody gets to come in. Then everybody comes in, you put the drawbridge back up because some of the riffraff or the enemies, they need to stay outside. Where is our place? What are we building? What are we building structurally? What kind of virtual infrastructure, physical infrastructure, spiritual infrastructure are you willing to build? Because I'm going to tell you this, if you run away and you just go by yourself, you're still going to be scattered. I know some of us are just like, yo, I'll just run away, I'll just be by myself, I'm a hermit, you're still going to be scattered. Yah's will is not for you to be scattered anymore. This is why we need to reach out. Please keep reaching out. By the way, tonight is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time, will be for everybody in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, Bahamas, all that stuff down there in the Caribbean. That'll be for you tonight. Not Mexico. Mexico, you guys are on Fridays with Texas and Oklahoma, okay? But tonight will be at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. We'll be North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, the Caribbean. You guys will be at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. And then tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern New York time, those who are in Central North region. So that's going to include all of Canada, Minnesota, Michigan, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Ohio, maybe Iowa. I don't even know if we have anybody idle right now. All right, so we'll have you guys on at 9 p.m. Eastern Your Time or 8 p.m. Central. Okay, so that's who's on tonight. Look for your emails. Look for some texts, but you know your emails definitely you'll get those if we have your information if you filled out the sheet. But it's important that we recognize that we need to reach out to each other, right? Because we're supposed to be building. The goal is not to remain scattered. The goal is not to remain set. You know, we think that set apart is literally like we act like set apart literally is like I'm always just be apart from everybody. But the goal is not to always be by oneself. How you doing, Riri? The goal is to become a community. The missing part of the word that we forget to keep preaching and teaching is that all these persons were part of a nation. Even those that were grafted in later on, or even grafted in doing what you call the Old Testament, they became part of a nation. Israel is a nation. The kingdom of heaven is a nation. Kingdom of Elohim is a nation. Do not forget that we're nation building. If that means that somebody wants to call us a nationalist, so be it. Call it whatever, right? You're okay with being Christian nationalists. I'm okay with being kingdom nationalists. So, please, man, please, sir, when we get together, when we say call each other, some of us we've sent, you know, plenty of names, numbers, stuff like that. It's on us now, right? I keep saying this. I told you I'm gonna be irritating for months with this, right? I'm gonna be irritated. Matter of fact, really, if we got to take a month off here or there, because it's a lot for me to make all this stuff or whatever. But I'm gonna be irritating to the point to where you're gonna be upset with me sometimes. But I'm not gonna stop until you realize the power in building a nation. I'm not gonna stop until you realize the power of we got so many people in Chicago. Well, let's make sure everybody look. I don't care if there was only 2 persons in Chicago. Meet up, right? Be obedient to the Holy Ghost. Make sure you check them, all that stuff. But meet up, right? If there's 10 families in Chicago, why are we meeting up? If there's 15 families in North Carolina, why are we meeting up? It's not because we don't have the infrastructure at this point. If we didn't have the infrastructure, if we didn't have the way of making it happen, then so be it, that'd be different. At this point, it's choice. And this is the part that's missing more than anything else. I'm not asking for you guys to cut everybody off. I'm not saying you can't see. That it'd be one thing. I could even see, because even though cults just is short for culture, I could see how somebody could say you guys are a cult if I was saying you're not allowed to talk to anybody else. You're not allowed to go to any other services. You're not allowed to speak any other languages. You're not allowed to listen to anybody but Pastor Kofi. You're not allowed to give anybody to everybody else. Matter of fact, not only give me your tithe, but give me your offering, and give me your first fruits, and then give SOC theirs. You see what I'm saying? Like, I could see if it was something like that. But even if you never send us a dime, we're saying contact your brother and your sister and get love and show love. That's not cult-like behavior. That's family. And the world wants to spin it to where you won't even become a nation, Israel, because you're so busy worried about if they'll call you a cult or if they'll say you're a Hebrew Israelite. So be it. Be part of your family. Love on each other. Build something. Leave this earth realm. Right? Miss Purple, she left us recently. Right? But I'm so glad that we helped her to build up something where she had persons to connect to, and families to connect to, and she would be able to call my wife and ask questions, and she'd be able to come on and think she was part of something that was growing and something like that. She left being able to leave a part of herself to be able to say, I helped build a community. Right? And we're not finished building. I'm just saying she put something into that. I wasn't invited to eulogize her, but if I was eulogizing her, I would leave with nothing else than to say, hey, even though we weren't even close like that, she taught me about the importance of building a community. She was sick and still said, I'm going to build to the best of my ability. She didn't have that much and still said, I'm going to build to the best of my ability. She was even somebody who still was doing some worldly things, but would come out and say, hey, you know what, I apologize because I'm trying to build my community. It starts with me. That's one of the biggest ingredients missing to this gumbo called community. Is you communing in the iti. Remember, the iti means we have to look at the what. So the common union, or the commune, or the common union, the union common between us and the iti. What is the iti talking about? The iti is talking about we have to look at the quality or the condition of what we're building. So if we're going to have a common union and we're going to call it community, then you got to ask yourself, as Noah did every day, and you got to build as Noah did every day. making sure that the quality and the condition of this community, of right, the quality and the condition of our common unity, the quality and the condition, right, of our communing has to be awesome. Matter of fact, Bruda, I would dare say it has to be yawesome, right? We got to go to another level. That being said, we got to get ready to go. Thank you all for being on. I appreciate you. Thank you for your prayers. We're doing much better with our time and stuff. I'm doing much better with our time and stuff. How about that? And I appreciate you. We're going to do our shout out. We're going to get right into it. I got stuff to do today. We got to travel and stuff. Young Master Shalom is doing soccer for the first time, so we're excited. Well, not for the first time, first time in a minute, but first time on the team and stuff like that. So excited about that. So he's doing his soccer this summer, his basketball this summer, still doing his kung fu. Praise Yah. I have been getting up early, but I haven't been getting on online as early as I would like to make sure that I start spending some time. But I have been getting up early, so just keep looking. I promise on TikTok. I'm not used to the posting stuff and all that anymore. I don't really post like that. I kind of just share what you guys are posting nowadays when I do get on TikTok. But on the original TikTok channel, I don't know if it'll just be when I'm taking walks or when I'm putting stuff together, if I'm moving something around and just talking to y'all, or if I'm stretching or something like that. But I'm going to start making sure that as I get on, that we can get on and have some fellowship for those who just want to kind of talk some stuff through. Maybe even if you want to come on the live and just say some stuff here or there, blah, blah, whatever. We just talk and chop it up a little bit or whatever. It's just, to be honest, I won't say it's just for a big part of it is I need to be held accountable for making sure that I'm doing some of this stuff, and I'm getting to a place where my new norm, I'm going to have to be obedient to doing certain exercises no matter where I am at certain times of day, or else I'm going to have problems, I can see. So I'm going to make sure that I do that. If you guys just happen to be up at certain times or whatever, you see me on, or even throughout the day, maybe you see me doing a little something here or there, that's what that is. Other than that, I will be looking at the VBS forum some more. We'll be looking at the Feast of Tabernacles forum some more. Feast of Tabernacles meeting this Saturday coming up will be at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. For those who are part of the group, we're going to have some meetings here or there for the unit, because we already got some stuff kind of cooking. And I know ministerial staff is not going against some of the stuff we talked about last time regarding making sure that we do a lot more with the ministerial staff meetings with it, but because we are going to have a lot of persons working together, we're going to make sure we start kind of having meetings about that specifically. So we'll kind of, matter of fact, we might even make the first Feast of Tabernacles meeting kind of for everybody, but we're going to start really honing in on making sure that it's you guys know how Feast of Tabernacles works. It seems like it's not here and then immediately it's like, oh, it's October the 6th. We still haven't done anything. October 17th through 24th is coming up. So we'll try to make sure that we have some of that stuff discussed. Aman? All right. Also too, but yeah, so VBS stuff, remember August 5th through the 9th, we're going to be making sure we do that on Zoom every day. Like basically 6 through 8:30, but it's going to be 6 to 7 children, 7 to 8 adults, 8 to 8:30. We'll kind of be everybody kind of doing a review together, and we'll be reaching out to some of you very soon for different things that we'll ask for you guys to do on different nights for it, to be a blessing to y'all. Like we might ask some people to even do like praise dance and stuff that we know some of you do. We might ask for some persons to sing. We might ask for some of you guys some of the children that dance and stuff like that. Also, too, if you have teenagers, we're looking to try to talk to them all again. We're getting closer to trying to put something together, so we're looking at trying to talk to all the teenagers again. So if I've talked to your teenager before, when I start setting up stuff, whether I've talked to them before or not, we would like to talk to them again, or even for the first time. So, and if you feel like they're adult enough for teenage conversations, we're going to be having like teenage conversations where some of it is adultish. So just know that if you'd like for them to be part of that, let us know. But we're going to go ahead and get on the road. We're going to get, I got to do some stuff first, then get on the road. Praying for you all. Thank you for being on. We appreciate you. Thank you for your prayers and everything. Thank you for continuing to pray for us. We're so close now. We're looking at trying to get paperwork and everything done by Friday. And if that gets done, then we'll finally be able to rest, relax for a little bit, and then start trying to figure out what the next move is as far as, moving to whoever we're going to come visit. So, thank you guys. We appreciate you. That's all that I have for today. Once again, our schedule for the rest of the day, besides looking on Patreon here or there for some things, 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. Everybody in the southeast part of the country and those in the Caribbean we talked about, that'll be your meeting, 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. At 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, we'll have our live session on Kofi _42 or on YouTube. Then 9 p.m. Eastern New York time or 8 p.m. Central, everybody in the Central North region, we will meet up with you guys then. And then on Wednesday will be my day off. As a reminder, though, just in case we forget, as a reminder, on Wednesday, those who are part of hashtag SOC University, those who are part of SOC University on Patreon, we will have a special Zoom session just for you all. I'll try to send you emails and texts if I can, but we'll have a special Zoom session just for you all, and it will just be on how do we speak. So it'll be on just speaking the language, okay? So we'll have a special Zoom session just for you all on how to speak, right? So we've been talking about how do we say this, what are some simple ways. So we'll bring out the whiteboard, we'll say some things slowly, we'll talk to each other, we'll do some kind of exercises with each other, and we'll use about an hour or so to kind of get used to saying some terms, okay? So if you're part of SOC University on Patreon, you'll see the link and everything. I'll try to email it to everybody and text everybody who is part of that. That'll be for tomorrow. Tomorrow is my day off, but I will make sure that we set aside time at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time just for you all, okay? All right, so if for some reason you don't get an email or something from me or a text, reach out to me, but you should be able to go on Patreon and be able to find the link and click on it. It'll be up definitely by 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. All right, we'll try to do that quickly because I know Minister Tamara, she's got Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, and I know some of you support Dr. T and what she does for the young sisters, and I guess now the sisters in general. But if you would like to be part of that, let us know, okay? But if you are part of SOC University, right, where you have the on-demand classes and all that stuff you can pull up, you should see that popping up on Patreon tomorrow. Once again, Wednesdays is normally my day off, but I will make sure 7 p.m. Eastern New York time from about 7 to 7:45, or 7, let's say 7 to 7:55. We'll make sure that we do that for everybody there, okay? All right, I thank you guys. I appreciate you. If I don't see you at any of that for some reason, I shall see you on Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. Some of you will see you on Thursday for Thursday Rising Prayer, led by Minister Anais, and we'll see you then. I thank you. I appreciate you all. And if you want to stick around, if you've never done a shout out with us before, we think you'll enjoy it. It's a way of you maybe getting more information about what we do, and also us being able to get a little information from you. And if nothing else, at least being able to see who we're preaching to, who we're reaching in the world, stuff like that. So if you want to stick around, the shout out will begin, and I'll show you how that works in just a little bit. But thank you, everybody. We really, really appreciate you. Love y'all to life. Thank you so much. Thank you for dealing with the fan situation and everything again. I don't know where the speaking came from and all that, but we're thankful and grateful for you guys being with us. And we honor your time and your presence, and we look forward to talking to you all soon. As always, we give our honor and praise to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Also, somebody did bring to her attention a little while ago that apparently on, what did I just say? Bloom and Flourish, you can find her on TikTok. Why did I say TikTok, YouTube? Her email, something else. What's the last one? I forget what that app is. I don't use it that much anymore. What's that app? What is it that I say all the time? I'm gonna have to go through the whole spiel again. I'm sorry. Right? You can check out my wife, the Honorable Amma, as always. Pinterest. There we go. Thank you. On Pinterest, apparently, if you were trying to reach out to her through Pinterest, apparently something was going on where it had gone to it had stopped her from being able to get messages. So I think she has opened that up. So if you have been trying to reach out to her on Pinterest in the past, apparently, I think she did change that up. I'll double check with her, but I'm pretty sure she changed that up. So we thank you all. We appreciate you. We honor you. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace. Take care. Thank you again.